Chapter 545. Not good, it's poisonous. Lei Dong's expression changed when he saw the purple poisonous fog surging towards them, and he couldn't help but exclaim in alarm. Immediately, he withdrew the 8 spider legs that he had inserted into the ground. As soon as he did so, the lightning net disappeared without a trace. Lei Dong instantly made a choice. Should he continue to use the lightning net to control his opponents, or should he allow Duguyan's jade phosphorus purple poison to envelop him? Lightning spiders were spiders, but they were lightning type and were different from ordinary spiders. Although they possessed extremely strong lightning power, they had also lost the poison that belonged to ordinary spiders. Just like the ice jade scorpion, when it pursued ultimate ice, it had already lost the poison that ordinary scorpions possessed. After all, in order to obtain something, it naturally had to give up some other things. However, although the lightning spider didn't have any poison-type abilities, its lightning power allowed it to have a certain degree of resistance to poison. If Duguyan's martial soul was also a jade phosphorus snake, then her poison might not be able to do anything to Lei Dong. Fortunately, the jade phosphorus snake had already evolved into a jade phosphorus flood dragon, and its strength had greatly increased. Lei Dong had no way to deal with such a poison. Lei Dong's expression froze when he saw the purple poisonous fog surging towards him, and he shouted, Lei Tian! Lei Tian, who had fallen to the ground after being hit by Zithershung's soundwave light blade, immediately flew up once again when he heard Lei Dong's voice. His third soul ring shone, and a pair of enormous lightning wings extended from it. When the wings appeared, layers of lightning surrounded them, and his body suddenly started to spin. As his wings flapped, an invisible whirlwind appeared, and the purple fog that had already spread over was actually blown away by the layers of whirlwind. Oh! Duguyan's beautiful eyes couldn't help but focus when she saw this scene. She didn't expect that her poisonous fog would be dispersed so easily. Looks like you won't be able to fight against the God Wind Academy in the future. Zithershung lightly plucked the zither strings, and once again used spiritual slow, and Lei Dong and Lei Tian's speed immediately slowed down. This was the power of spiritual control. If your spiritual power wasn't strong enough, then even if you struggled to break free, as long as a spiritual type soul master used another skill, you would still be controlled again. It was very difficult to deal with a spiritual type, control type soul master without any means to deal with them. It was just like the match between Shrek's 7 monsters and the Martial Soul Palace in the original timeline. If not for Tang San's purple demon eyes countering Hulina's charm, Hulina alone would have been able to defeat the entire Shrek team. This was the terrifying aspect of spiritual type soul masters. Looking at the Zithershung once again gently plucked the zither strings and once again controlled the 2 soul ancestors, Duguyan could not help but give out a light sigh. What you said is right. If we were to deal with the God Wind Academy in the future, I really would not be able to play much of a role. Currently, with the exception of her 4th soul skill, she basically only had the ability to release the poison fog, but her 4th soul skill was a single target skill and could only control 1 person at a time. Moreover, the consumption of her soul skill was enormous. Facing the God Wind Academy, who could control the wind elements, her skills would basically be wasted by more than half. Just like before, the poisonous fog was blown away by the whirlwind. I hope that I can become a Soul King soon. When that time comes, I'll be able to condense a poison pill, and I'll be able to enrich my attack methods. Duguyan sighed softly as she spoke. Then I hope that you can become a Soul King as soon as possible. Fu Qinsheng smiled faintly, her fingers gently plucking the zither strings, and the zither music that contained spiritual fluctuations once again spread out, once again controlling Lei Dong and Lei Tian, who were about to struggle free. Damn it! Lei Dong, whose spiritual reaction was as slow as a turtle, could not help but curse. This damned spiritual sluggishness was too difficult to break free from, and every time he was about to break free, the zither music would sound out again, and then their speed would slow down again. The opponent was a control-type soul ancestor, but she was actually able to tie down 2 soul ancestors and 2 soul elders on their side, which made Lei Dong somewhat anxious in his heart, especially when his captain's anguished howl could be heard. Strength of a dragon. Wang Xiu once again punched out, and this time it directly hit Yu Qianxin's body and directly sent him flying. Yu Qianxin howled in pain, and blood continuously flowed from the corner of his mouth. He had used the strength of the blue lightning tyrant dragon that he was so proud of, his offensive strength and his dragon form skill, but he was still pinned to the ground by Wang Xiu, and he couldn't even retaliate. You're just a blue lightning tyrant dragon. I don't know where you get your confidence from, but you can't even beat me, and you still dare to provoke my brother? Wang Xiu didn't have any pity in her eyes as she watched Yu Qianxin spit out blood from his mouth. She was very kind, and her character was very pure, but that was only under normal circumstances. Now, Yu Qianxin was provoking her brother, whom she loved and relied on the most. In Wang Xiu's eyes, this was even more serious than provoking herself. Under such circumstances, she had already let go of her kindness and innocence, and she would beat anyone who dared to provoke her brother to death. It could be said that if Lu Yuan had a sister complex, then Wang Xiu had a brother complex. She wouldn't tolerate anyone talking bad about her brother. Wang Xiu, you're courting death. Yu Qianxin stood up, and the power of lightning surged from his body. Fourth soul skill, blue lightning tyrant dragon. Yu Qianxin's fourth soul ring lit up, and formless lightning condensed to form a small blue lightning dragon. It was more than 2 meters long, and streaks of bluish-purple lightning flashed and exploded within it. A frightening, destructive force gathered within it. This was Yu Qianxin's most terrifying attack. Even a high-tier soul ancestor wouldn't dare to take this attack head-on. Go to hell, Wang Xiu. Yu Qianxin pushed his dragon claws forward, and the small lightning dragon surged towards Wang Xiu, with a ferocious aura. Is this your strongest attack? Wang Xiu didn't even blink when she saw the small lightning dragon surging towards her. An ordinary high-tier soul ancestor wouldn't dare to take this attack head-on, but that didn't mean that a soul master with a golden dragon martial soul wouldn't dare to take it head-on. First soul skill, golden dragon body. Wang Xiu shouted, and golden light surged. Wang Xiu's attributes soared, and her aura became much stronger. Third soul skill, golden dragon head. Her third soul ring shone with a blinding purple light. Wang Xiu punched out, and a golden dragon head flew out from her fist and collided with the small lightning dragon that was surging towards her. Wang Xiu, just wait for your death. Yu Qianxin couldn't help but laugh when he saw that Wang Xiu didn't even try to dodge his strongest attack. There was a tinge of carefreeness in his laughter. In his opinion, Wang Xiu would either die or be severely injured after taking this attack head-on. Chapter 546. Yu Qianxin was extremely confident in his attack. This was the strongest attack that he could unleash with all his strength. He was even confident that this attack could injure a Soul King. Hence, he couldn't help but laugh when he saw that Wang Xiu dared to take this attack head-on. However, Yu Qianxin didn't know that there was no attack that a golden dragon wouldn't dare to take head-on. Ultimate strength didn't just refer to strength. It also included the quality of one's body. In terms of physique, no one would dare to claim first place if a golden dragon soul master claimed to be second. The clear sky hammer, the blue lightning tyrant dragon, and the white tiger were all inferior to a golden dragon in terms of physique. After activating her golden dragon body, Wang Xiu directly used her golden dragon head to charge forward. The golden dragon head flew out and collided with the lightning dragon that contained the terrifying power. Bang! The golden dragon head and the small lightning dragon collided, and a loud boom was heard. The power of lightning exploded, and streaks of silver snakes shot out in all directions. The intense blue lightning and golden light that flashed out were extremely dazzling. Wang Xiu's entire body was instantly engulfed. Zhu Zhuqing, who was sitting next to Lu Yuan, exclaimed when she saw Wang Xiu's body being engulfed. She hurriedly grabbed Lu Yuan's arm, and there was a look of concern on her face. Will Xiu be all right? Lu Yuan couldn't help but smile when he saw the concerned look on Zhu Zhuqing's face. Although this little kitten liked to get jealous all the time, and sometimes even got jealous of Wang Qiu'er, she was still very concerned about Wang Qiu'er. After all, her worried expression came from the bottom of her heart, and it couldn't be faked. His little kitten was a little special. She liked to get jealous, but she was also very magnanimous at times. She was the one who stopped Lu Yuan from getting close to Ning Rongrong. She was also the one who persuaded Lu Yuan to take Ning Rongrong in. Just like now, she often complained that he was too close to Wang Qiu'er. However, she was very worried now that Wang Qiu'er was in danger. This kitten was really cute and realistic. Among his 4 women, this kitten was the most realistic. Gently caressing Zhu Zhuqing's hair, Lu Yuan smiled faintly and said, "Don't worry, it'll be fine." Qiu'er's physique is strong to begin with, and she has also eaten the Xianyang jade dragon fruit. This bit of lightning energy is nothing to her. Qiu'er's body isn't any weaker than some assault-type soul emperors. Lu Yuan had just finished speaking when a streak of golden light tore through the lightning, and Wang Qiu'er's figure appeared. She wasn't severely injured, and she looked very relaxed and energetic. Even her clothes weren't torn at all. It was as if that terrifying lightning attack had no effect on her at all. "This is impossible. This is impossible." Yu Qianxin's face was filled with disbelief as he looked at Wang Qiu'er's unharmed appearance. He had used all his strength in that attack, but it hadn't hurt Wang Qiu'er at all. How could he accept this? Nothing is impossible. You don't understand what a golden dragon is and what ultimate strength is. You've already been beaten to the ground by a golden dragon, and you're still so naive to think that your blue lightning tyrant dragon can hurt a golden dragon? Put away your laughable arrogance. The blue lightning tyrant dragon is trash to a golden dragon. Back then, Elder Brother was able to make you Tianhing crawl on the ground, and he couldn't even retaliate. Even though I can't compare to Elder Brother, it won't be difficult for me to step on you and beat you into a dead dog. Wang Qiu'er's beautiful face was indifferent. She stomped her foot, and spiderweb-like cracks spread out from the tip of her foot. Wang Qiu'er's figure flashed, and her fist, which was shining with golden light, smashed towards Yu Qianxin. Second soul skill, Unstoppable Thunderbolt. Yu Qianxin panicked when he saw Wang Qiu'er charging towards him. He hurriedly activated his second soul skill, and streaks of lightning spread out. Second soul skill, Dragon Strength. Wang Qiu'er's fist punched out, completely ignoring the power of lightning on Yu Tianxin's body. Her fist smashed into Yu Tianxin's chest, and a cracking sound was heard. One of Yu Tianxin's ribs was broken, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Wang Qiu'er had no intention of letting him go. She followed up and kicked Yu Tianxin's face. Yu Tianxin's handsome face swelled up, and his face was covered with purplish-red bruises. Wang Qiu'er's kick was immensely powerful, and more than 10 of Yu Tianxin's teeth flew out. Thick blood flowed out from Yu Tianxin's mouth, and along with his swollen face, he looked like a ferocious demon from hell. "Oh my, do you women like to hit people's faces?" Lu Yuan couldn't help but exclaim when he saw Yu Tianxin's current appearance. He still remembered how Zhu Zhuqing had left several claw marks on Dai Mubai's face in the Great Soul Arena, and how she had disfigured that perverted tiger. He didn't expect Wang Qiu'er to disfigure Yu Tianxin today as well. Lu Yuan couldn't bear to look at Yu Tianxin's current appearance. He was beaten so badly. If he were the one who attacked, it would be normal for him to beat someone to death or cripple them. However, he didn't have the habit of hitting someone's face. Could this be the difference between men and women? Thinking back to the time when he confessed to Qian Rinxue also grabbed his face and beat him to death. She did not stop until his face was swollen. Lu Yuan felt that this was very possible. "What did you say?" Zhu Zhuqing couldn't help but turn her head when she heard Lu Yuan's words. She was watching the match earlier, so she didn't hear Lu Yuan's words clearly. Nothing. Lu Yuan didn't bother to mention it again when he saw that Zhu Zhuqing didn't hear him. Zhu Zhuqing looked suspiciously at Lu Yuan. She didn't feel that anything was wrong. Then, she slowly turned her head and looked at the stage. Her red lips parted slightly, and a doubtful voice sounded. I don't think Thunder Academy is that strong. They're being beaten up. Weren't you overthinking things when you said so much earlier? I wasn't overthinking things. Thunder Academy's strength is naturally inferior to Qin Sheng and Xiao Er's, but they still have a trump card. Lu Yuan said plainly. Trump card? Zhu Zhuqing didn't understand. Look, Lu Yuan said plainly as he looked at the stage. Zhu Zhuqing couldn't help but turn her gaze over when she heard this. She saw that the formation on the stage had undergone a huge change. Yu Qianxin, who was being beaten up by Wang Qiu, had gathered with Lei Dong, Lei Tian, and Lei Tian. Yu Qianxin was at the front, while the other three stood behind her. They placed their hands on Yu Tianxin's body at the same time. Streaks of energy gathered from their bodies towards Yu Tianxin's body. Suddenly, Yu Tianxin's aura started to rise. Chapter 547. This is... Zhu Zhuqing couldn't help but exclaim in surprise when she saw Yu Tianxin and the others' actions. She turned to Lu Yuan with an inquisitive look in her eyes. It can be considered a 4-in-1 fusion technique. Lu Yuan's eyes sparkled as he watched Yu Tianheng's aura increase. Considered, Zhu Zhuqing didn't understand when she heard Lu Yuan's words. Yes. What does he mean by considered? A true 4-in-1 fusion technique is to perfectly fuse the powers of 4 people into one person's body, causing that person's soul power to increase exponentially. However, it's not easy to achieve such a perfect 4-in-1 fusion technique. Not only does it require a strong tacit understanding between soul masters, but it also requires a high level of guidance from the teacher. Although a 4-in-1 fusion isn't as good as a 7-in-1 fusion technique, it's not something that an ordinary teacher can do. Shern Yan was able to achieve a 7-in-1 fusion technique because all 7 of his teammates had the same martial soul. Furthermore, their martial souls were extremely malleable. That's why he was able to achieve a 7-in-1 fusion technique. In terms of difficulty, it's not as good as this 4-in-1 fusion technique. Because their martial souls are different, the repulsion between them is extremely strong. Under such circumstances, it's very difficult to completely fuse their soul power together. However, Yu Qianxin and the others are clearly different. They took advantage of the fact that their martial souls are lightning type to forcefully infuse the other three's soul power into Yu Tianxin's body. This way, it's hard to avoid losses when passing on their martial souls. Originally, Yu Qianxin's soul power should have been able to break through to the early stage Soul Emperor realm after gathering the 4 soul power. However, even after absorbing the other 3 soul power, Yu Qianxin has only just touched the door to becoming a Soul Emperor. However, even just touching the door to becoming a Soul Emperor is still quite a challenge for Qiao and the others. Lu Yuan smiled faintly as he spoke. How can you still smile? Others don't know how strong this realm is, but don't you know? Can Qiao, and the others win against such opponents? Zhu Zhuqing couldn't help but glance at Lu Yuan when she heard his laughter. This man can still laugh in such a situation. You think you're strong when you've barely touched upon the Soul Emperor realm? Why don't I think so? After being glanced at by Zhu Zhuqing, Lu Yuan suddenly laughed. That's only for a freak like you. Even I might not be able to deal with someone who has the strength of a Soul Emperor. Not everyone can jump ranks like you can. Zhu Zhuqing rolled her eyes at Lu Yuan. The strength of a Soul Emperor was something that even a rank 52 Soul Emperor like her wouldn't necessarily be able to win against. The higher one went, the greater the gap between each rank. She could defeat a Soul Ancestor as a Soul Exalt, but as a Soul King, she wouldn't necessarily be able to defeat a Soul Emperor. This was especially true for the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon, which was a top-tier martial soul with powerful attacks. Once it reached the level of a Soul Emperor, it would be even stronger than most Soul Emperors. Could Wang Qiu and the others win? Zhu Zhuqing was doubtful. Little kitty, you're underestimating yourself. Don't think that Soul Emperors are too strong. Soul Emperors are just like that. Before becoming a Soul Sage, The gap between ranks isn't as insurmountable as you think. With the strength of your superb martial soul, the 9 lives links, and your secret word, in addition to your extraordinary soul ring combination, you won't have a problem fighting an ordinary soul emperor. It's just that you've seen too few soul emperors. Not every soul emperor is as strong as Cher. Cher has no problem fighting a soul sage with her current strength. It won't work if you compare other soul emperors to Cher. Lu Yuan smiled faintly. Yes, I'm inexperienced. Your Cher is still the best. Zhu Zhuqing rolled her eyes at Lu Yuan before turning her gaze back to the arena. Her face was cold, and there wasn't any change in her expression. Hey, you little kitty. Lu Yuan sighed helplessly when he saw that the little kitty was jealous again. He was just telling the truth, and this little girl was jealous again. Sigh, she's so hard to deal with. Gently holding Zhu Zhuqing in his arms, Lu Yuan's gaze once again turned to the ring. What are they doing? Wang Qiu had already returned to her side of the arena. Earlier, she had caught Yu Tianxin and beaten him up. She had a good time beating him up, and Yu Tianxin wasn't her match at all. Wang Qiu couldn't help but raise her eyebrows when she saw Yu Tianxin's actions and felt the aura rising from Yu Tianxin's body. This was more interesting. Earlier, Yu Tianxin was like an ant to her, and she could step on him whenever she wanted to. Now, she was interested in continuing the fight. Fu Qinsheng said as she watched Yu Tianxin's actions. Their actions seem like a 4-in-1 fusion skill, but there seems to be a slight difference. However, it seems like Yu Tianxin's soul power will increase exponentially after he absorbs the soul power of the other 3. Let's take this opportunity to interrupt them. There's no hurry. I haven't played enough. Wang Qiu said softly. This guy dared to provoke Big Brother. How can beating him up once be enough? I want to destroy his confidence when he's at his proudest. That's the only interesting way. She clenched her little fists as she spoke, and cracking sounds could be heard. This was the sound of her knuckles rubbing against each other as she clenched her fists. Ling Wei and the others couldn't help but take 2 steps back when they saw the serious look on Wang Qiu's face. Are you confident? Yu Tianxin's strength might increase to a very high level. Fu Qinsheng asked softly. Of course. Wang Qiu smiled faintly and said, However, I need Sister Rongrong to help me. You'll help me, right, Sister Rongrong? Wang Qiu's gaze turned towards Ning Rongrong as she spoke, and she even blinked her pinkish-blue eyes with an adorable look on her face. Of course, Sister Rongrong will help Qiu. Ning Rongrong smiled before she blinked her icy blue eyes at Wang Qiu. However, Qiu, don't forget what you promised Sister Rongrong. Yes, I won't forget. I'll put in a good word for Sister Rongrong in front of Big Brother. Wang Qiu patted her chest when she heard this and spoke with a serious look on her face. All right, then Sister Rongrong will do her best to help you, Qiu. I'll let you fight to your heart's content. Ning Rongrong smiled faintly as she spoke. Hee hee. Wang Qiu giggled when she heard Ning Rongrong's words, and her pinkish-blue eyes curved into crescents. In fact, she might seem obedient in front of Lu Yuan, but she used to be a little tyrant in the Great Stardow Forest. She liked to fight a lot. Chapter 548. However, Lu Yuan didn't like girls who were passionate about fighting. He preferred girls who were obedient and gentle. Therefore, Wang Qiu controlled her nature to make her brother love her more. However, she had been wanting to fight for a long time. She couldn't be too heavy-handed when she trained with her teammates. After all, she was very terrifying once she unleashed her full strength. Even though she was only at rank 47, with the power of her Golden Dragon martial soul, it wouldn't be a problem for her to fight a rank 52 or 53 Soul King. Even Zhu Zhuqing wouldn't have an easy time against Wang Qiu, even if she could win. She had to be serious. After all, the 9 Lives Lynx and the Golden Dragon were both transcendent martial souls, but there was still a difference in their quality. Furthermore, Wang Qiu was a soul beast, and she had consumed the Xianyang Jade Dragon fruit. Her physical body was very strong. Therefore, Wang Qiu but was a little excited to be able to unleash her full strength openly. She even hoped that Yu Qianxin could be stronger. Fu Qinsheng and Ling Wei exchanged a look as they looked at the battle-hungry Wang Qiu and Ning Rongrong, who was secretly laughing. A look of helplessness flashed across their eyes. One of them was a battle-hungry person, while the other had bad intentions. She wanted to seduce their captain. The two of them together were amazing. In fact, Fu Qinsheng and Ling Wei were right. Wang Qiu and Ning Rongrong got along very well. One of them was the little tyrant of the great Stardow Forest, while the other was the little witch of the Seven Treasures glazed sect. They were both troublemakers and didn't know what fear was. In front of Lu Yuan, Wang Qiu was an obedient, sensible, and cute little sister. Ning Rongrong was the same. In front of Lu Yuan, her little witch personality was restrained. Her aura was smooth and elegant, and her actions were dignified and generous. What was more coincidental was that both of them had been pampered since they were young. Although they were a little proud, they were very pure. There were so many similarities. Wang Qiu and Ning Rongrong hit it off immediately. Wang Qiu's relationship with Ning Rongrong was better than her relationship with Zhu Zhuqing. It was not that Zhu Zhuqing was not good to her, but Zhu Zhuqing's appearance was cold, which made it difficult for people to get close to her. In contrast, Ning Rongrong's appearance was very sweet, which made it easier for people to get close to her. Furthermore, Ning Rongrong's 9 Treasures glazed pagoda's amplification was very addictive, especially for assault-type soul masters. The feeling of a huge increase in strength was very addictive. On the other hand, Lu Yuan doted on Wang Qiu a lot. Ning Rongrong, who had been chasing after Lu Yuan to no avail, naturally turned her attention to Wang Qiu. She hoped that Wang Qiu could put in a good word for her. This way, both sides would have their needs, and a relationship between them would naturally improve. Then I'll leave Yu Qianxin to you. Ning Rongrong will be in charge of assisting you, and I'll help you control the field. As for Ling Wei and De Guyan, you two clear out the 3 soul exalts first. Jingling doesn't need to move, just stay and protect Jiangzhu. Fu Qinxing looked at Wang Qiu as she spoke. After she finished speaking, she looked at the others. Yes. Hearing this, everyone nodded. It seems like it's about time. Fu Qinxing squinted as she watched Yu Qianxin roar into the sky. Her aura was much stronger than before. It's about time. Wang Qiu rubbed her fist before she took 2 steps forward. She stopped when she was 3 meters away from Yu Qianxin, and her voice rang out. You've absorbed everything? I've been waiting for you for a long time. Wang Qiu, you're still so arrogant. You're just as despicable as your brother. No, you're even more despicable than him. Yu Qianxin touched her swollen face and her mouth, which had lost more than 10 teeth. A vicious look flashed across her eyes. To thank you for waiting for so long, I'll give you a big present. Yu Qianxin's tone was light, but there was a deep chill in it. She promised that she would let Wang Qiu know what cruelty was later. Haha, then let's see how much you're worth. Hearing the viciousness in Yu Qianxin's words, Wang Qiu chortled. She didn't care. If she wanted to beat her, she couldn't rely on her mouth. She had to rely on her strength. Then I'll let you see how much I'm worth. Yu Qianxin's voice was light, but it was filled with confidence. He felt very good about himself, as he felt the skyrocketing soul force in his body. He was deeply fascinated by this terrifying strength. Attack! Qin Sheng shouted. Ling Wei and De Guyan rushed out at the same time and pounced towards the remaining 3 soul elders. As for Lei Dong and Lei Tian, they were already paralyzed on the ground when they transferred all their soul force to Yu Qianxin. Yu Qianxin didn't try to stop Ling Wei and De Guyan. As far as he was concerned, he was more than enough to deal with the 7 soul exalts. It didn't matter if the 3 soul exalt from his family were still present. Since Yu Qianxin didn't move, Wang Qiu and the others naturally didn't move. After all, they were here to restrain Yu Qianxin. Without Yu Qianxin's obstruction, the 3 soul elders were quickly knocked off the stage by De Guyan and Ling Wei. The 3 soul ancestors from the Thunder Academy were also blasted off the stage. Right now, only the Heavenly Star Battle team and Yu Qianxin were left on the stage. Jingling, Jiangzhu, Duguyan, the three of you should go down first. The soul elders on the other side have already been eliminated. In the current situation, there's not much use for the three of you to stay on the stage. Qin Sheng said as he looked at Yu Qianxin, who was emitting a powerful aura. Yu Qianxin's soul force was already close to that of a soul emperor. His aura was comparable to that of a low-level soul emperor. Jingling and Jiangzhu's fighting strength wouldn't be of much use. The blue lightning tyrant dragon's resistance to poison was very strong, and Duguyan's poison wouldn't have much of an effect either. Thus, it was better for them to go down together. This way, they wouldn't be able to do anything when the fight started. Duguyan and the other two left the stage. Wang Xiu'er took the lead to face Yu Qianxin, while Zither Sheng sat cross-legged on the ground, gently plucking the zither strings. Ling Wei stood beside Ning Rongrong, guarding her. Are you ready? Let's begin. First soul skill, Blue Lightning Dragon Claw. Yu Qianxin growled. His figure flashed, and his enormous lightning dragon claw swiped at Wang Xiu'er. First soul skill, Golden Dragon Body. Second soul skill, Dragon Strength. Wang Xiu'er growled. She didn't retreat at all in the face of Yu Qianxin's ferocious attack. Instead, she pounced forward. Bang! Her fist, which was shining with golden light, collided with Yu Qianxin's dragon claw. Suddenly, bluish-purple lightning exploded in all directions. Wang Xiu took 7 or 8 steps back before she managed to stabilize herself. Yu Qianxin, on the other hand, only took 2 steps back before she regained her footing. Wang Xiu was at a complete disadvantage in this clash. Wang Xiu'er, prepared to die. Yu Qianxin was delighted when he saw that Wang Xiu'er had been pushed back. He roared into the sky and waved his sharp dragon claw as he pounced in Wang Xiu'er's direction. Chapter 549. It was true that the Golden Dragon countered the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon, but there was a limit to how much it could suppress the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon. Wang Xiu'er wasn't Lu Yuan, and her bloodline wasn't as pure as Lu Yuan's. Lu Yuan's bloodline was only a step away from the Golden Dragon King's. It was unbelievably pure. Furthermore, the clear aura god power also gave Lu Yuan's Golden Dragon bloodline something new. It allowed him to deviate from the normal Golden Dragon bloodline, and he had the potential to evolve beyond the Golden Dragon King. That was why Lu Yuan's Golden Dragon was extremely effective against beast souls. If Wang Xiu'er had been Lu Yuan, the outcome would have been completely different. Lu Yuan wouldn't have been the one to take 7 steps back. Yu Qianxin would have been the one to take 7 steps back. However, there were no ifs in reality. Wang Xiu'er was only at rank 47, and she was at a disadvantage in a head-on clash with Yu Qianxin, who possessed soul power comparable to a soul emperor. Even though Wang Xiu'er's martial soul was superior, she was still at a disadvantage. Fortunately, Wang Xiu'er wasn't alone in this fight. The 9 treasures are called color glaze. The 9 treasures are called strength, speed, soul, and defense. Ning Rongrong recited the incantation and pointed with her finger. For streaks of flowing light gathered on Wang Xiu'er's body, and her aura surged. With Ning Rongrong's help, Wang Xiu'er's strength, speed, soul power, and defense all increased by 50%. Her overall abilities increased significantly. Right now, Wang Xiu'er was equivalent to a Golden Dragon Soul Master who was close to becoming a Soul King. Fight! Wang Xiu'er pounced towards Yu Qianxin after receiving her help. Her fist, which was shining with golden light, punched towards Yu Qianxin. Yu Qianxin didn't back down either. She waved her Thunderbolt Dragon Claws and clawed at Wang Xiu'er. Golden light flashed, and lightning splashed in all directions. Wang Xiu'er and Yu Qianxin clashed intensely. This didn't seem like a fight between humans. Instead, it was more like a fight between 2 human-shaped tyrannosauruses. It made sense to call them human-shaped tyrannosauruses. After all, the Golden Dragon and Blue Lightning tyrannosauruses had dragonification. Right now, Wang Qiu, and Yu Qianxin's arms and legs were covered in dragon scales. There were even scales sparkling below their necks. In addition, the battle between the two of them was abnormally crazy. It would not be wrong to call them Tyrannosaurus Rex. Between Qiu, and Yu Qianxin, who do you think will win? Zhu Zhuqing asked softly. She was no longer jealous, as she was hugged by Lu Yuan. Qiu, of course. Lu Yuan smiled faintly. You're so confident. Don't look at how intense the fight is right now. Qiu still seems to be at a disadvantage. If not for the golden dragon suppressing the blue lightning tyrant dragon, Qiu would have lost a long time ago. Indeed, soul power ranks are the most important. Even though Qiu has been strengthened by Rong Rong, there's still a huge gap between her and Yu Qianxin's soul power. Zhu Zhuqing sighed softly. Haha, it's true that Qiu is at a disadvantage right now, but don't forget that she's not the only one here. Lu Yuan paused for a moment and said, You mean Qin Sheng? Zhu Zhuqing looked at Lu Yuan with her big black eyes. Of course. Why else did you think I said so much earlier? Qin Sheng's fourth soul skill should be used soon. The biggest weakness of the 4-in-1 is that even though the soul power of the four of them has increased greatly, their spiritual power hasn't increased at all. On the contrary, they have to control this sudden increase in strength, which will greatly deplete their spiritual power. Coincidentally, our Qin Sheng is a soul master adept at spiritual control. Yu Qianxin is unlucky in this round. He thinks that he can do whatever he wants with the strength of a soul emperor. He doesn't even care about his own teammates. However, he doesn't know that a soul emperor isn't as strong as he thinks. Qiu, who has been strengthened by the 9 treasures glazed pagoda, can definitely hold him back. In addition to Qin Sheng's fourth soul skill, victory is assured. Lu Yuan's voice was calm, but there was an unquestionable tone to it. This made Zhu Zhuqing believe him immediately. It seems like what you said before the battle wasn't without aim. You have everything planned out. Zhu Zhuqing said softly as she lay in Lu Yuan's arms. Of course. Well, have I ever done something useless? I said that the key to this battle is Qiu and Qin Sheng. One will fight head-on, while the other will restrain him from the shadows. With their cooperation and Rong Rong support, we won't lose no matter what the Thunder Academy's trump card is. Even though I didn't expect Yu Qianxin's confidence to come from this 4-in-1 fusion skill, it doesn't matter. The strength of a soul emperor can't overturn the heavens. Qiu, and the others are enough to deal with him. Look, the situation on the stage will prove this point. Lu Yuan said softly. After hearing this, Zhu Zhuqing's gaze couldn't help but turn to the stage. On the stage, Wang Qiu and Yu Qianxin were still fiercely clashing. After another exchange, Wang Qiu retreated 4 steps, while Yu Qianxin retreated 3 steps. It seemed like Yu Qianxin had the upper hand. What a powerful golden dragon martial soul. Yu Qianxin couldn't help but frown as he looked at Wang Qiu. He could feel that his current soul power was definitely 10 ranks higher than Wang Qiu's. However, it was still quite strenuous for him to fight her. Wang Qiu was too difficult to deal with. Even if he used all of his strength, he only had a slight advantage. Furthermore, the golden dragon's suppressive force made him feel very uncomfortable. Under this pressure, he couldn't unleash his full strength. Otherwise, he would have already won. Again, before Yu Qianxin could finish his thoughts, Wang Qiu pounced forward and clashed with him again. The 2 human-shaped Tyrannosauruses started fighting again. It's about time. Let me help Wang Qiu one last time. Fu Qin Sheng's voice rang out. His hands gently plucked the strings of his guqin. His fourth soul rings suddenly lit up, and guqin music that contained dense spiritual undulations spread out. Fourth soul skill, demonic sound confusion. Under Fu Qin Sheng's control, the guqin music that contains spiritual undulations poured into Yu Tianxin's mind and attacked his spirit. What the hell is this? Don't eat me. Get lost. Yu Tianxin, who was fighting against Wang Qiu, was struck by the demonic tune's dazzling demonic tune. He immediately fell into an illusion. In the illusion, he saw a huge golden dragon swallowing half of his body. The intense pain instantly engulfed his brain, and he couldn't help but cry out in pain. This was the terrifying part of the demonic sound confusion. The pain that one felt in the illusion would be reflected in the depths of one's brain. It was also because of this that if one was affected by the demonic sound confusion for too long, it would cause great damage to one's spiritual power. Fourth soul skill, Golden Dragon Explosion. After seeing Yu Tianxin being controlled by Fu Qinsheng, Wang Qiu took the opportunity to use her fourth soul skill. She sent Yu Tianxin flying off the stage and obtained victory. Chapter 550. A golden light burst forth, and the intense energy from the golden dragon explosion sent Yu Tianxin flying. Blood splattered everywhere, and he crashed into the ground with a loud bang. Wang Qiu didn't hold back at all in this move. Under the control of the demonic sound dazzling, Yu Tianxin was hit by Wang Qiu's fourth soul skill, and the injuries caused to him weren't light. At least 7 or 8 of his ribs were broken, and his internal organs were also damaged. Even with the treatment of a healing-type soul master, Yu Tianxin would need at least half a month to fully recover. Not being able to fight for half a month was a nightmare for the Thunder Academy. Without Yu Tianxin, the Thunder Academy's road to the tournament would be much more bumpy. Captain, Yu Tianxin landed on the ground. He was already heavily injured, and after receiving such a blow, he immediately fainted. Seeing Yu Tianxin like this, the Thunder Academy's students hurriedly surrounded him. Aren't you guys a little too ruthless? One of the Thunder Academy's members saw Yu Tianxin's miserable state and angrily questioned the Heavenly Star Academy's team. Seeing the angry face of the Thunder Academy's student, Fu Qinxing's expression was calm as he said, "I only have one question. Is Yu Tianxin dead?" Hearing Fu Qinxing's words, that student couldn't help but be stunned and became silent. According to the tournament's rules, you couldn't kill a contestant, but there was no rule that said you couldn't cripple them. Unless the opponent surrendered, then you couldn't continue attacking. However, Yu Tianxin didn't say anything about surrendering, so what Wang Qiu and the rest did was completely within the scope of the tournament's rules, and there was nothing wrong with it. Seeing the speechless Thunder Academy's member, Fu Qinsheng and the rest turned their heads away and didn't pay any more attention to him. On the stage, the referee's voice rang out. The match is over, and the Heavenly Star Academy is victorious. Thank you for bringing us such an exciting match, and let us all cheer for them. Heavenly Star, Heavenly Star, Heavenly Star, Wang Qiu. Hearing the referee's words, the audience and the spectators' stands immediately cheered. This match could be said to be the most intense match in Group A since the start of the tournament. The Thunder Academy's 4-1 was indeed surprising, but the Heavenly Star Academy's performance was even more spectacular. This was especially true for Wang Qiu. She had single-handedly challenged Yu Tianxin, and her fighting prowess had left everyone trembling in fear. In addition to her beautiful looks, she was like a valiant war goddess, and she had instantly attracted a huge wave of fans. Listening Qiu, Wang Qiu, and the others. Itzer was the first time receiving the attention. But at the same time, there was also a trace of happiness in her heart. Of course, it wasn't just Wang Qiu. The other members of the Heavenly Star Academy's team, such as Fu Qinsheng, also received a lot of support from the audience with his powerful spiritual control. Ning Rongrong's peerless support from the 9 Treasures Glazed Pagoda also made the audience gasp in amazement. Seeing the Heavenly Star Academy enjoying the cheers in the arena, the other academies and the spectators' stands all had different reactions. Ever since the Heavenly Star Academy had been singled out by the 2 big shots Douluo and Ning Fengji at the start of the tournament, the Heavenly Star Academy had been viewed as the strongest opponent by every team in the Heaven Do region. Almost every match of the Heavenly Star Academy would be watched by many other academies. But today, apart from the ordinary battle teams, other than the God Wind Academy, the Heavenly Water Academy, the Blazing Fire Academy, the Weevil Academy, and the Botany Academy that had just finished their competition, it could be said that the strong teams of the Heaven Do competition zone were basically all gathered here. I didn't expect Wang Qiu'er to be so valiant. It seems like she was hiding her strength before. Thinking of Wang Qiu'er's valiant performance, Shui Bing-er's ice blue eyes revealed a trace of seriousness. Indeed, Yu Qianxin's strength is comparable to a Soul Emperor. However, Wang Qiu'er was able to fight so fiercely with Ning Rongrong's help. Wang Qiu'er's strength is indeed extremely valiant. Hearing Shui Bing-er's words, Huo Wushuang agreed. Not only that, there's also that Fu Qinsheng. His spiritual control is also very strange and difficult to deal with. If Yu Qianxin wasn't under Fu Qinsheng's spiritual control, it would be very difficult for Wang Qiu'er to win. I didn't expect the Thunder Academy to have such a four-body fusion technique. They hit it well, but it's a pity that they still lost. Huo Wu stared at Lei Ting as her clear voice rang out. In the end, the Heavenly Star Academy is still too strong. Don't forget, they still have two people who haven't gone up yet. Furthermore, they're the captain and vice-captain of the Heavenly Star Academy. Wang Qiu'er's strength has already reached such a level. You can imagine how strong Lu Yuan and Zhu Zhuqing are. Especially Lu Yuan. He was so strong back then. Now, it's very likely that he's stronger than we imagined. Sister, do you really want to stubbornly fight with him? I'm afraid that you'll lose your confidence. Looking at Huo Wushuang said softly. His tone was filled with deep concern. Don't worry, brother. No matter how strong he is, I won't lose my confidence. This battle is inevitable. Ever since he swept through the Heaven Do Imperial Academy 4 years ago, I've always wanted to fight with him. Now that I finally have the chance, I won't give it up. Hearing Huo Wushuang's advice, Huo Wu didn't give up. Instead, her fighting spirit became even stronger. She looked at Lu Yuan's direction with a burning gaze. Her eyes were filled with burning flames. Sigh, do as you wish. Huo Wushuang sighed helplessly. Since Huo Wu was so stubborn, he couldn't do anything about it. Losing was inevitable. He could only hope that Lu Yuan would go easy on Huo Wu because she was a girl. Sister, if we meet Prince Charming, will we also fight with him? Hearing the conversation between Huo Wu and her sister, Shui Yu pulled Shui Bing-er's sleeve and whispered into her ear. What do you think, Yu-er? Do we fight or surrender? Shui Bing-er looked at her sister and asked softly. I don't know. On one hand, Prince Charming's battle team is too strong. I'm afraid we won't be their match. On the other hand, I want to fight with Prince Charming on the stage. I feel a little conflicted in my heart. Shui Yu frowned and said with a distressed expression, Since you wants to fight, then let's have a match. Shui Bing said with a faint smile. Sister, aren't you afraid of losing too miserably and hurting your confidence? Shui Yu asked. I'm afraid. But on the other hand, I'm more looking forward to fighting with the strong. Shui Bing said softly. Her icy blue eyes flickered with fighting spirit. She was also a proud daughter of heaven. She also yearned to fight with more powerful geniuses. In this aspect, she and Huo Wu were the same. It was just that Huo Wu was more outgoing while she was more reserved. Chapter 551. Ha ha ha. Just when Fire Dance, Shui Bing and the others were discussing with a dignified face, a burst of laughter suddenly sounded. Huo Wushuang and the others turned around to look, only to find that it was Hu Yanli from the Elephant Academy who was laughing. Hu Yanli, are you crazy? Seeing Hu Yanli laughing, Huo Wushuang couldn't help but ask. I'm crazy? I'm not crazy. I didn't think that the Heavenly Star Academy would actually have such a powerful strength. Haha, only they are worthy to be the opponent of our Elephant Armor Academy. If we can defeat them, our Elephant Armor Academy's reputation will definitely soar. As Hu Yanli said this, he thought of his victory over the Heavenly Star Academy and the admiration of those young ladies. He couldn't help but laugh, and his face was full of longing. Seeing the expression on Hu Yanli's face, Huo Wushuang couldn't help but have a black line on his forehead. Want to defeat the Heavenly Star Academy? I don't know where you get your confidence from. Didn't you see what happened to Yu Tianxin? When he went on the stage, he was full of confidence, even more arrogant than you. But the result was that he was beaten unconscious and had to lie in bed for at least half a month. If Yu Tianxin was so confident because he hadn't seen the real strength of the Heavenly Star Academy, and also because he had a 4-in-1 trump card, then it could be pardoned. But you, Hu Yinli, have watched the whole competition and still have such a confident expression. What are you pretending for? Do you really think you are a peerless master? Do you think I, Hu Shuang, don't know what you are? Your Elephant Academy might not even be able to defeat our Blazing Fire Academy, but you still dare to say that you want to defeat the Heavenly Star Academy. You are really awesome. Didn't you see that we in the Heavenly Water Academy didn't dare to say that? But you are really arrogant? Hu Shuang wasn't the only one with such thoughts. Even Water Ice and Fire Dance couldn't help revealing strange expressions on their faces. They couldn't understand why Hu Yanli was still so confident even after watching the competition. Could it be that the Elephant Academy still had some trump card? Several people secretly muttered in their hearts. Seeing that the Blazing Fire Academy and the Heavenly Water Academy were stunned by his words, Hu Yanli couldn't help but smile proudly. He touched his head. With this thing, his confidence was bursting. After absorbing it, his strength could be said to have skyrocketed. And with it, would that Fu Qinsheng's attack still be effective against him? Hu Yanli expressed that he wasn't afraid at all. Why would he be afraid of a spiritual attack? Without any spiritual attacks, Wang Qiu'er is the only one who is more eye-catching. However, can she beat so many of us by herself? Our Elephant Armor Academy is made up of burly men. Every one of us is a Hercules. Dealing with the Celestial Star Battle Team is a piece of cake. As for that Lu Yuan, I've heard them boast that he's quite strong. Anyway, I've never seen him fight. I, Hu Yanli, don't believe that he's that strong. If he goes on stage, I'll give him a good beating. I'll let them know that I, Hu Yanli, am the #1 star of this competition. Let's go. Hu Yanli called out to his little brother, then glanced at Hu Shuang and the others with a complacent look on his face. After that, he strode away. Boss, wait for me. Seeing Hu Yanli walk away with large strides, his little brother, who had just reacted, quickly chased after him. After Hu Yanli left, Hu Shuang, Shui Bing and the others couldn't help but look at each other. Their expressions were a little strange. Speaking of which, is there something wrong with Hu Yanli's brain? Do they think they can defeat Prince Charming's team? Shui Yu said bluntly before anyone else spoke. You don't talk nonsense. Maybe they have some trump card. That's why they're so confident. Shui Bing softly interrupted Shui Yu. She had a more mature personality and considered more things. Trump card? What kind of trump card does the Elephant Armor Academy have? Do you think I don't know Hu Yanli? He's just a simple-minded person with a well-developed body. What kind of trump card could they have? Moreover, even if they had a trump card, they would still lose. Yu Qianxin had a trump card, but didn't she also lose so badly? Hu Shuang said with a hint of disdain. Yes. Hearing Hu Shuang's words, Shui Bing nodded lightly. Although she was mature and considered a lot, and believed that the Elephant Armor Academy had some trump card, she still didn't think highly of them. In a situation where the difference in strength was too big, any means would be useless. Brother, you said something wrong. Just when everyone thought that Hu Shuang's words made sense, Fire Dance's voice suddenly rang out. What's wrong, sister? Hu Shuang couldn't help but ask doubtfully. You said they're simple-minded? Actually, that's not right. They're not simple-minded, they're stupid. The Elephant Armor Academy's team is a group of idiots who only grow muscles and not brains. Fire Dance said lightly. Sister, what you said makes sense. Only grow muscles and not brains. This description of the Elephant Armor Academy's team was really King fitting. Weren't they a group of brainless muscleheads? He didn't expect his sister to describe them so vividly. Hu Shuang thought to himself. Hearing her brother's words, Fire Dance didn't reply. In her opinion, the Elephant Armor Academy wasn't worth too much attention, and Lu Yuan was a strong opponent that she wanted to defeat. She blinked her beautiful eyes slightly and glanced in the direction of Lu Yuan and the others. There, the Heavenly Star Academy's team members had all left the arena. Brother Wang Xiao jumped into Lu Yuan's arms as soon as she got off the arena. She hugged him tightly, and her small head gently rubbed against Lu Yuan's chest. Brother, how was Xiao's performance just now? After rubbing against Lu Yuan's chest for a while, Wang Xiao raised her small head and looked at Lu Yuan expectantly. Of course, Xiao's performance was good. Just now, Xiao was like a goddess of war, valiant and charming. You see, so many of the audience were conquered by Xiao. You now have a large group of fans. Rubbing Wang Xiao's head, Lu Yuan smiled slightly. Wang Xiao chuckled when she heard Lu Yuan's compliment. She looked very cute and innocent. Wang Xiao's cute appearance made Lu Yuan gently pinch Wang Xiao's cheeks. His gaze turned to Fu Qinsheng and the others, and a smile appeared on his face. He said warmly, "Today's match was very good. It's already noon. I'll treat everyone to a meal at the Star Blue Hotel to celebrate." Yeah, Captain is so generous. As soon as Lu Yuan finished speaking, everyone couldn't help but cheer. The food at the Star Blue Hotel was really good, and the service was really good. They fell in love with it the last time they went there, but the price was too high and they couldn't afford it. Now that they heard that Lu Yuan was going to treat them again, they were all happy. They could have a good meal again and eat to their heart's content. Let's go now. Looking at everyone's expressions, Lu Yuan smiled faintly and led the way towards the exit. At the same time, in an inconspicuous corner, a silver-gray figure was staring at the direction that Lu Yuan and the others left. His eyes were filled with darkness and hatred. Chapter 552. Star Blue Hotel, in a private room. Everyone, don't be polite, sit down. Today's competition has been hard for everyone. Thunder Academy is a difficult opponent, but everyone still won so easily. It seems that these 3 months of training have not been in vain. Everyone's strength has increased a lot. There are no outsiders here today, so everyone does not need to be restrained. Eat what you want, drink what you want, eat to your heart's content. Looking at everyone, Lu Yuan smiled slightly. Yes, Captain. Hearing Lu Yuan's words, everyone found a seat and sat down. Lu Yuan casually found a seat and sat down, while Zhu Zhuqing and Wang Xiao sat on Lu Yuan's left and right sides. Everyone, let's eat, don't look at me. Seeing that everyone was still staring at him, Lu Yuan could not help but say, "Captain, if you don't eat first, how'd we dare?" Looking at Lu Yuan, Ling Wei said with a bitter smile. In public, Lu Yuan was the palace master of Dragon King Palace and was their top boss. In private, Lu Yuan was their captain. If Lu Yuan did not eat, how would they dare? One must know that except for Jing Ling, Jiang Zhu, and Ning Rongrong, everyone else was from Dragon King Palace. How would they dare to eat first in front of Lu Yuan, the palace master? This was like modern society, where the leader had not sat down, and you as a subordinate sat down first. Wasn't that courting death? Although Lu Yuan said to let them eat first, no one would do so. After all, Lu Yuan did not care about these rules, but they still had to abide by them. Although Jing Ling and Jiang Zhu did not know that Lu Yuan was the palace master of Dragon King Palace, and even in the entire Heavenly Star Academy, except for Lu Erlong, no one else knew about Lu Yuan's identity. But this did not mean that Jing Ling and Jiang Zhu dared to not follow the rules in front of Lu Yuan. One must know that Heavenly Star Academy belonged to Lu Yuan, and as students, they naturally respected Lu Yuan. This was a very normal thing. You guys, looking at the crowd, Lu Yuan shook his head helplessly. This was the difference brought about by their identities. Even if he wanted to mingle with them, they were all restrained. Forget it. Let's not think too much about it. Lu Yuan picked up his chopsticks and casually picked up some food. Then he glanced around and said, "Let's eat, everyone." Seeing that Lu Yuan had started eating, the rest of the people also started eating. It was almost 11 o'clock when the competition ended. After spending some time here, it was almost 12 o'clock. They were really hungry. He picked up some fish for Zhu Zhuqing and a few pieces of meat for Wang Qiu. Needless to say, Zhu Zhuqing loved to eat fish the most, but she also ate other things and was not picky. However, Wang Qiu was a little different. She was a carnivore and loved to eat meat. Furthermore, she was very picky about her food. She wouldn't eat anything that didn't taste good, and she rarely touched vegetables. At most, she would eat some fruits. This probably had something to do with her being a soul beast. For example, Xiaowu still loved to eat carrots even after she transformed. This was her nature, and it couldn't be changed. Xiaowu, is the food here good? Once again, he picked up a large piece of golden steak for Wang Qiu. This steak was made from the meat of a 1,000-year black-armored rhinoceros. It tasted very good, but it was also very expensive. Only a big hotel like the Star Blue Hotel sold this kind of 1,000-year soul beast meat. It was very difficult to find it in other small hotels. After all, it wasn't easy to capture a 1,000-year soul beast. It required a certain level of strength. It's delicious. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Wang Qiu lifted her head. Her little mouth was glistening with oil, and some oil even dripped on her nose. Hey, you little girl, why don't you pay more attention to your food? Lu Yuan waved his hand, and a clean handkerchief appeared in his hand. He used the handkerchief to wipe the oil off Wang Qiu's nose. Wang Qiu loved the feeling of being pampered by Lu Yuan. Just as Lu Yuan was about to retract his hand, Wang Qiu grabbed his hand. Elder brother, can you accompany me to play after we finish eating? Just the two of us. Wang Qiu blinked her pinkish blue eyes, and there was a strong sense of anticipation in her eyes. All right, it's Friday today, and there's no competition in the next 2 days. There's no need to rush. Let's play with my little Qiu today. After seeing Wang Qiu's cute eyes, Lu Yuan couldn't bear to reject her. He immediately agreed. Yay, I know that elder brother is the best. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Wang Qiu cheered. Her little mouth was still glistening with oil, and she pressed it onto Lu Yuan's face. After that, Wang Qiu started to struggle with the black-armored rhinoceros steak in her bowl. This little girl, as he looked at Wang Qiu, Lu Yuan couldn't help but shake his head. She kissed him just like that. He didn't even need to think to know that she must have left a greasy mark on his face. Lu Yuan picked up the handkerchief that he had used to wipe Wang Qiu's nose. Just as he was about to wipe his face, his hands were suddenly empty. The handkerchief had been taken away by Zhu Zhuqing. Zhu Zhuqing was holding the handkerchief in her hand as she gently wiped the greasy mark on Lu Yuan's face. Zhuqing, you can go back first. I'll get elder sister Shout-Out to escort you back. Lu Yuan smiled as he grabbed Zhu Zhuqing's hand. What about you? If elder sister Shout-Out isn't around, who's going to protect you? Zhu Zhuqing asked. Do I still need protection? With my current abilities, ordinary titled Douluo can't threaten me unless they're transcendent Douluo. I can do whatever I want in Heaven Do, Imperial City. I'm no longer the same person as before. Furthermore, ZG is protecting Qiu in secret. She's even stronger than elder sister Shout-Out. She won't be in any danger. Lu Yuan smiled as he spoke. Okay, all right then. Zhu Zhuqing nodded after hearing Lu Yuan's words. She was relieved. But don't go too crazy. Remember to come back early. Zhu Zhuqing said softly. We will. Don't worry. Lu Yuan gently caressed Zhu Zhuqing's hand and smiled. Captain, we'll take our leave first. Fu Qinsheng, Ling Wei, and the rest bade farewell to Lu Yuan one by one. They were going to return to the academy. Ning Rongrong was also going to return to the academy with Fu Qinsheng and the rest. However, she still couldn't bear to part with Lu Yuan. Let's go. Be careful on the road. Lu Yuan smiled as he waved at everyone. I'll take my leave too. Remember to come back early with Qiu. Zhu Zhuqing was still worried as she reminded him again. Got it. Lu Yuan replied gently. Zhu Zhuqing nodded when she saw this and left with Ma Xiaodao. Let's go, little Qiu. I'll accompany you. Tell me, where do you want to go? Lu Yuan smiled as he rubbed Wang Qiu's head. Chapter 553. Elder brother, I want this. Wang Xiao-er's voice rang out as she pointed at the barbecued meat skewer on the stove. Lu Yuan was speechless when he saw this scene. He said softly, Xiao-er, you just had lunch, but I want to eat. Elder brother, let's buy 2 skewers, okay? Wang Xiao-er grabbed Lu Yuan's hand and shook it. She blinked her big eyes and frowned. She looked pitiful. All right, let's buy it if you want to eat. How could Lu Yuan resist Wang Xiao-er's pitiful attack? Lu Yuan couldn't resist Wang Xiao-er's cute little sister's coquettish behavior at all. He immediately took out his money and bought a bunch of skewers. Yay, elder brother is the best. Wang Xiao-er took the barbecued meat. She held a skewer in one hand and ate as she walked. She didn't care about her image at all. Thus, the scene in everyone's eyes was a fairy-like golden-haired beauty skipping forward while gnawing on the barbecued meat in her hand. Behind her was an equally handsome fairy-like young man, holding a large handful of barbecued meat in his hand and a bitter smile on his handsome face. Wang Xiao-er was young and energetic. She was also very curious. She wanted to try everything that was fun and delicious. After half a day, Lu Yuan was exhausted. He felt that he wasn't even this tired after a fight. As he saw that the sun was about to set, Lu Yuan stopped Wang Xiao-er, who still wanted to buy a lot of things. Xiao-er, it's getting late. We should go back. Let's buy more the next time we come out, Lu Yuan said softly. All right then. After hearing Lu Yuan's words and looking at the sky, Wang Xiao-er nodded obediently. Although she liked to play, she was still very sensible. Xiao-er is so obedient. Lu Yuan smiled as he rubbed Wang Xiao-er's head. Let's go then, Xiao-er. Lu Yuan smiled as he held Wang Xiao-er's hand. Okay. Wang Xiao-er nodded and allowed Lu Yuan to pull her towards the Dragon King Hall. The sun had already set, and the afterglow dyed the sky red. Lu Yuan and Wang Xiao-er walked quietly on the main road outside Heaven-Do Imperial City. There was not the slightest shadow of a person on the main road. The sky was clearly still bright, but the wind that blew carried a faint chill, making people feel clearly uncomfortable. Elder brother, something doesn't seem right. Wang Xiao suddenly grabbed Lu Yuan's hand. There was a serious look on her face. Why, little Xiao-er, did you feel it too? After hearing Wang Xiao-er's words, Lu Yuan didn't seem surprised at all. It was as if he had already realized this. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Wang Xiao immediately replied, Yes, my innate senses tell me that danger is approaching. This feeling is very strong, and I can't help but feel a little apprehensive. Don't be afraid, Xiao. Elder brother is here. Elder brother won't let you get hurt. Lu Yuan gently squeezed Wang Xiao-er's little hand as he said gently. Although Lu Yuan's words were soft, they carried a strange power that made Wang Xiao unconsciously believe him. Come out. Why are you hiding? Lu Yuan's dual pupils flickered slightly as his indifferent voice rang out. Aha! You are indeed the captain of the Celestial Star Academy. Your senses are indeed extraordinary. You can actually sense my presence. However, this won't change your fate of death. After Lu Yuan finished speaking, a slightly old voice rang out. A figure appeared not far in front of Lu Yuan. It was an elder wearing silver-gray clothes. Sanghui Academy's Shernyan. Looking at this elder, Lu Yuan said indifferently. Looking at this person's appearance, wasn't he Shernyan from the Sanghui Academy? What, did this guy want to kill him now? Lu Yuan's mouth couldn't help but reveal a sneer. The trash that was killed by Tang San in the original novel also dared to find trouble with him? Ha! It seems that your memory is very good. It is indeed me. I have been watching you for a long time. Finally, I have waited for the moment when you are alone. Your Celestial Star Academy severely injured our Sanghui Academy's members, causing them to be unable to compete. You caused our Sanghui Academy to lose several matches and have no hope of advancing to the next round. This hatred can finally be avenged today. Shernyan said indifferently, but his tone carried an unconcealable murderous intent. Haha, our Celestial Star Academy and your Sanghui Academy competed and won fair and square, without any tricks. Everything that we did was within the scope of the competition. You lost because your skills were not as good as others, but we were already merciful. I didn't expect that you, the teacher leading the team, actually have the face to bully the weak and find trouble with us." As Lu Yuan said, he shook his head slightly, as if expressing disdain for Shernyen's actions. Haha, bullying the weak? When have I ever cared about these things? In this world, only the winner is king and the loser is a bandit. Since you have caused our Tsanghui Academy to have no hope of advancing to the next round, then today I will make you and the little girl beside you completely disappear. Consider it as collecting some interest. And I won't let the rest of your team off either. I will make them accompany you one by one." Shernyen said sinisterly. "Yeah, you're quite brave. Perhaps you don't know who I am, so I won't mention it." Among the remaining people were the little princess of the Seven Treasures Glazed sect and the granddaughter of the poisoned Douluo. How dare you kill people like them? After hearing Shernyen's words, Lu Yuan smiled faintly and said, "What's there to be afraid of? Why wouldn't I dare? As long as I clean it up, who would know that I killed him? For example, if I kill you and then destroy your corpse, will that so-called Dragon Emperor Douluo know that I killed them? Other than being incompetent and furious, what can he do to me? Your biggest mistake is that you clearly have the protection of someone as strong as the Dragon Emperor Douluo, but you didn't let him follow by your side. Otherwise, with him around, I really wouldn't dare to make a move." Shernyen said plainly. "Haha, look at how confident you are. Are you that confident that you can kill me?" Lu Yuan asked with interest as he looked at Shernyen. "Of course. I am a soul sage, while you are at most a soul ancestor. Killing you is as easy as flipping my hand." Although Shernyen couldn't tell Lu Yuan's exact rank, he believed that Lu Yuan was at most a soul ancestor. With such strength, how could he escape from a soul sage like him? Sigh, there are always so many people in this world who are blindly confident. They always think that they can do it, but you really can't. As he looked quietly at Shernyen, Lu Yuan's expression gradually turned cold. Lu Yuan spat out a sentence, and his indifferent voice rang out. "You're just a soul sage with 7 soul rings. Why do you want to seek your own death?" After he finished speaking, Lu Yuan's eyes suddenly focused. A bright light flickered, and a dense killing intent spread from his body. Chapter 554. You're just a soul sage with 7 soul rings. Why do you have to seek your own death? Lu Yuan said plainly. His eyes flashed with a strange light. Just a soul sage? Kid, how arrogant of you. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Shernyen was enraged. His figure suddenly turned illusory. At the same time, the scenery around him also changed. Kid, die a painful death in my remnant dream. Shernyen's voice became increasingly hazy. His entire figure disappeared. A strange undulation instantly engulfed Lu Yuan and Wang Qiu. Elder brother, where are you? Qiu can't see you. Lu Yuan was still observing everything around him. Wang Qiu's anxious voice rang in his ears. Qiu. Lu Yuan hurriedly looked at Wang Qiu beside him. Right now, her pinkish-blue eyes were numb. She was in a daze. She had already fallen deeply into an illusion. Although Wang Qiu had the golden dragon's sensory abilities, her cultivation was too far from Shernyen's. She was still affected by his remnant dream. Wang Qiu said anxiously. Her face was full of worry and fear. In her impression, she was still with Lu Yuan. Suddenly, Lu Yuan disappeared. She immediately became nervous and afraid. Qiu, elder brother is here. Lu Yuan pulled Wang Qiu into his arms. His body exuded a dense light. It was the power of his clear qi god's power. The clear qi god's power was injected into Wang Qiu's body. She immediately broke free from the illusion. Elder brother, after seeing Lu Yuan's figure again, Wang Qiu immediately hugged Lu Yuan tightly. Her delicate body trembled slightly in Lu Yuan's arms. Lu Yuan gently caressed Wang Qiu's bright golden hair. He said gently, Qiu, close your eyes. Okay, elder brother. Wang Qiu nodded when she heard this, and she shut her pretty pinkish-blue eyes tightly. When he saw this, Lu Yuan hugged Wang Qiu's body with his left hand. He lifted his head slightly, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. The reason why he asked Wang Qiu to close her eyes was because he didn't want her to see him kill someone. He didn't want the bloody scene to taint her eyes. Where do you think you can hide in front of me? The light from his polychoria flickered. Shernyen's figure had nowhere to hide. Polychoria, chaotic light. Lu Yuan bellowed. Two rays of milky white light shot out from his polychoria, directly hitting the space not far away. The space cracked, and Shernyen's figure immediately appeared. At the same time, the illusion that Shernyen had been maintaining using the remnant dream martial spirit also collapsed in an instant. Ah, my eyes. Shernyen clasped his eyes tightly with both hands. There was a trace of shock in his tone. Lu Yuan's light of chaos just now had blasted both his eyes apart. Thick blood flowed out from his eye sockets. Just one move was enough to inflict unimaginable damage on Shernyen. How can you find me in my remnant dream? There was a hint of disbelief in Shernyen's tone. In all the years since his debut, this was the first time someone had found him directly within the range of his remnant dream. Not only did he find him, but he was also severely injured. Shernyen couldn't help but be shocked. Was this something the young man could do? What kind of monster was this person in front of him? What can a mere illusion do to me? There's no one in this world who can hide under my nose without being discovered. In my opinion, your tricks are laughable. Lu Yuan revealed a look of disdain at the corner of his mouth. His right hand flashed with golden light, and the golden dragon spear appeared in his hand. Cut the crap. How dare you frighten my sister? Go and die, unpredictable storm. Lu Yuan drew a circle in the air, and a golden halo flew out immediately, trapping Shernyen's body in place. The unpredictable storm was very difficult to block. Furthermore, Shernyen's eyes had been destroyed, and his spiritual power was severely injured. How could he possibly dodge it? It's over. As he looked at Shernyen, who was restrained by the unpredictable storm, Lu Yuan threw his golden dragon spear. Golden light flashed, and Shernyen's body flew more than 10 meters away as he screamed tragically. He landed upside down on the ground. Lu Yuan hugged Wang Qiu and tapped his foot. He covered more than 10 meters in an instant. He pulled out his golden dragon spear and stabbed it into Shernyen's brain. He flicked it gently, and a dazzling skull flew out from Shernyen's brain. Lu Yuan used his soul power to envelop the skull in the air. He exhaled his soul power and removed the impurities on the soul bone. Only then did he receive it. As he looked at the dazzling skull in his hand, Lu Yuan knew that this was the illusory realm skull from the original novel. Its quality was not bad. Although it wasn't very old, it was more than 10,000 years old. It was relatively precious. As he gently tossed the illusory realm skull in his hand, Lu Yuan couldn't help but smile as he looked at Shernyen's corpse. You're not very strong, but you're quite qualified to be a giveaway. I've already said that you're just a soul sage. Why must you seek your own death? It's just that you didn't listen to me. Sigh, there's no choice. There's always someone who likes to seek death. He shook his head gently and kept the illusory realm skull in his astral ring. As he carried Wang Qiu, Lu Yuan turned around and left. As for whether Shernyen's corpse was taken care of, that was none of his business. He only cared about killing, not burying. After advancing another few hundred meters, Lu Yuan confirmed that they were very far away from before. Wang Qiu couldn't see Shernyen's corpse anymore. Then he put her down. Qiu, open your eyes. Lu Yuan smiled. Elder brother, did you kill that person? Wang Qiu asked crisply. Yes, I killed him. Don't be afraid, Qiu. Everything's fine now. Lu Yuan gently rubbed Wang Qiu's head and smiled as he spoke. Yes, I'm not afraid. As long as elder brother is here, I'm not afraid of anything. I know that elder brother will protect me. Wang Qiu held onto Lu Yuan's left hand as she spoke with a serious look on her face. When he heard this, Lu Yuan smiled as he gently caressed Wang Qiu's face. His handsome face was filled with a gentle smile as he said, That's right. I'll protect you forever. Forever. Elder brother, When she heard Lu Yuan's words, Wang Xiao's heart skipped a beat. She actually leapt into Lu Yuan's embrace. All right. When he saw how touched she was, Lu Yuan smiled as he patted her head. He smiled warmly as he said, "It's getting late. Let's go back. I'm afraid your sister Zhu Qing is waiting anxiously." All right. When she heard this, Wang Xiao nodded her head obediently. He rubbed Wang Xiao's head again as he held her hand. The two of them started to walk towards the Dragon King Hall. Chapter 555. What's the matter today? Why are you up so early? Zhu Qing was still lying on the bed when she saw that Lu Yuan was already fully dressed. She was a little puzzled as she asked him this question. Looking at Zhu Qing, Lu Yuan smiled and said, "There's someone who I think will be coming today. I have to get up to welcome him, so I can't get up too late." "Someone? Who is it?" Zhu Qing asked. "Who else could it be?" "That old fox Ningfengji. After I finished crafting my soul tool, I sealed it in the warehouse because of the tournament. I haven't sent it to him since. I'm afraid he's already very anxious. Furthermore, I heard from Elder Dugu that the Snowy Night Emperor wants to rope me in. If I'm not mistaken, Ningfengji will be the first to persuade him. He'll do his best to pull me to the Heaven Do imperial family. After all, he's still supporting the Heaven Do Empire." Lu Yuan said softly. "What do you want to do?" Zhu Qing asked curiously. "Of course I'll go with the flow. I'll take this opportunity to get involved in the game between the upper echelons of the Heaven Do Empire. I'll work with Cher to swallow the entire Heaven Do Empire." Lu Yuan said plainly. "I see." After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Zhu Qing pondered for a moment before saying, "Even though that's the case, you can't agree too quickly. Otherwise, if things go too smoothly, it'll arouse suspicion." "Of course." After hearing this, Lu Yuan smiled and said, "If they want to rope me in, they'll have to pay a price. If they don't give me some benefits, I won't agree. Don't worry about this. I've already made plans." "It's good that you have a plan." Zhu Qing nodded gently as she thought about how Lu Yuan had always been meticulous in his plans. Suddenly, her lips curled into a weird smile. "The Snowy Night Emperor is really courting death. He actually opened the door for a wolf like you. I find it funny when I think about how he wants to rope in the Martial Soul Palace's holy son. Who asked me to keep my identity a secret? From the point of view of the Snowy Night Emperor, it is not wrong for him to rope me in. On the contrary, it is very wise because the current Dragon King Palace is indeed very strong, even stronger than the Seven Treasures Glaze sect. It is normal for him to rope me in. However, this seemingly correct decision is based on the fact that I'm only the Dragon King Palace Lord. In reality, I'm still the holy son of the Martial Soul Palace. This decision of his is pushing the Heaven Do Empire further into the abyss. From a third party's point of view, I have to say that his actions are a little ridiculous." With that, Lu Yuan couldn't help but laugh. "Well, I'll go out first. You can sleep for a while." Looking at Zhu Qing, Lu Yuan's eyes had a trace of concern. "No, I'll get up too. I'll go with you later. Didn't you say that you wanted me to learn more about these things by your side?" Zhu Qing said with a smile. "Oh, all right then." Hearing this, Lu Yuan considered for a moment and then nodded. The blazing sun hung in the sky, and bright golden light shone on the ground. In the guest room of the Dragon King Palace, Lu Yuan and Ningfengji were sitting opposite each other. "Obuchi, we haven't met for a long time, right?" Ningfengji said warmly as he looked at Lu Yuan opposite him. "Not that long. It's only been a little more than a year." Lu Yuan said plainly. "A little more than a year is already very long." Ningfengji sighed as he sipped his tea. "Obuchi, where have you been for the past year?" "I've been here a few times, but you weren't around." Ningfengji asked softly as he looked at Lu Yuan. "Something happened during the past year, and I couldn't get away. I also didn't have the time to craft soul tools. I've caused some inconvenience for Uncle Ning." Lu Yuan said softly. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Ningfengji was moved. He knew that Lu Yuan didn't want to talk about where he had been for the past year. However, he was also a smart person. Since Lu Yuan didn't want to talk about it, he didn't ask. Ning Fengji's tone changed as he smiled faintly and said, "It's fine for me. It's fine if I procure all the soul tools later. It's just that Rong Rong is pitiful. She's missed you very much over the past year, and she's lost a lot of weight. My heart aches when I see her. She's gotten a lot better after you came back, and she's become more energetic. Obuchi, you've really charmed my Rong Rong." After hearing Ning Fengji's words, Lu Yuan's body trembled slightly. He couldn't help but glance at Ning Rongrong, who had been standing quietly beside Ning Fengji. Right now, her cheeks were rosy, and her jade-like hands were tightly gripping the corners of her dress. She looked very shy, but her gaze was still bold as she looked at Lu Yuan. Her eyes were burning with passion, and they were filled with deep affection. Ahem! After meeting Ning Rongrong's gaze, Lu Yuan was instantly defeated. He coughed slightly and decisively changed the topic. "Uncle Ning, do you have any business with me this time? If you want soul tools, I've already crafted a batch. They're in the warehouse. When the time comes, you can take them away." After seeing that Lu Yuan had changed the topic, Ning Rongrong bit her red lips gently. There was a tinge of disappointment in her eyes. "Why is it so difficult for me to be with Lu Yuan?" Ning Fengji glanced at Ning Rongrong before looking at Lu Yuan, who had changed the topic. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. It seems like it'll take some time for Rongrong to pursue this fellow. After thinking for a while, Ning Fengji revealed a smile on his face again. He said, "I've come to find you for some important matters today. Soul tools are just one of them. The other matter is to help someone pass on a message." "What message?" Lu Yuan raised his eyebrows and pretended not to know anything. This should be good news for you. His Majesty has long heard of your name. He wants to invite you to meet him next Sunday so that we can get to know each other." Ning Fengji smiled. "Get to know each other? I'm afraid he's trying to rope me in." After hearing this, Lu Yuan tapped his finger on the table and said with a half-smile, His Majesty does have this intention." Ning Fengji said with a smile. He didn't have any intention of refuting. This was because he knew that Lu Yuan was also a smart person. He had already seen through everything. Since that was the case, he might as well admit it openly. Furthermore, this matter was related to the Snowy Night Emperor. It didn't have much to do with Ning Fengji. If he admitted it, then so be it. There was no harm in admitting it. I knew this old man had other ideas. Otherwise, why would he take the initiative to invite me to meet him? Lu Yuan said with a faint smile. Chapter 556. Old Man. Hearing Lu Yuan's words, even Ning Fengji could not help but twitch his mouth. This kid was probably the first person who dared to call the Snowy Night Emperor old man in such an open manner. However, Ning Fengji immediately let it go when he recalled Lu Yuan's actions at the Heaven Do Imperial Academy. This brat had killed a member of the imperial family like Prince Xue Xing without any hesitation. If it weren't for the fact that Qin he had pleaded for Xue Xing and offered the Heaven Do Empire's vast sea cosmic shroud as compensation, then Prince Xue Xing would have ceased to exist long ago. It was perfectly normal for someone like him to call the Snowy Night Emperor old man. Ning Fengji thought that this kid's attitude towards him had improved after a few years. He thought that his personality had changed, but he didn't think that he was still the same as before. He still had no respect for the imperial family. However, he was now the Hall Master of the Dragon King Palace. It was normal for him to have no respect for the imperial family. After all, he wouldn't have been able to establish a force like the Dragon King Palace if he didn't have the guts. Ning Fengji thought to himself, "What's wrong, Uncle Ning? Is there something wrong with calling him old man?" Lu Yuan couldn't help but ask when he heard the surprise in Ning Fengji's voice. Ning Fengji smiled bitterly when he heard this. "Obuchi, he's the emperor of the Heaven Do Empire. It doesn't seem right to call him old man." Although Ning Fengji had always known Lu Yuan's personality, hearing Lu Yuan call him an old man still made Ning Fengji feel a little strange. After all, the Snowy Night Emperor was the emperor. If Lu Yuan kept calling him an old man, wouldn't that be a little too embarrassing? So what? Even if he's the emperor, it doesn't change the fact that he's an old man. If I don't call him old man, am I supposed to call him handsome boy? Lu Yuan shrugged and said with an innocent look on his face. Upon hearing Lu Yuan's words, Ning Rongrong could not help but burst into laughter. Even Zhu Zhuqing, who had a cold expression on her face, could not help but smile slightly. This guy really knew how to cause trouble. Cough, cough, it's you. Hearing this, Ning Fengji didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This kid looked like a very cold person, but his character was completely different. Sometimes he was high and mighty, and sometimes he was approachable and even humorous. This was really a mysterious person. It was no wonder that Rong Rong loved him so much. This young man was really special. All right, let's not talk nonsense. Let's get down to business. Uncle Ning, do you think I should accept Emperor Shui Ye's invitation and work with the imperial family? Lu Yuan's expression turned serious again. He looked straight at Ning Fengji. Seeing Lu Yuan's serious expression, Ning Fengji's expression also turned serious. From my perspective, I naturally hope you agree to work with Emperor Shui Yi and the imperial family. After all, our Seven Treasures Glaze sect has always supported the imperial family. In terms of our own interests, the stronger the imperial family, the better it is for us. The Dragon King Hall is very famous now, and you have the Dragon Emperor Douluo and the Bright Phoenix Douluo. If you cooperate with the Heaven Do imperial family, the Heaven Do imperial family's reputation will rise to another level. Our Seven Treasures Glazed sect will be able to benefit from the Heaven Do imperial family's reputation. Therefore, I will naturally do my best to facilitate the cooperation between the two of you. In fact, I'm here on behalf of Emperor Shui Yi to persuade you. I hope you can accept Emperor Shui Ye's good intentions and work with him. Ning Fengji looked calmly at Lu Yuan after he finished speaking. Haha, Uncle Ning is very frank. I haven't even asked for the details yet, but you're already so clear about your intentions? Lu Yuan asked with a smile. I have no choice but to be frank. After all, you're so smart. Even if I didn't say it, you would have guessed it already. If I were to hide it, it would have made you unhappy. I might as well say it openly. At least it would make me seem more magnanimous. Ning Fengji smiled bitterly. Haha, Uncle Ning knows me well. Lu Yuan smiled. He didn't comment on Ning Fengji's words. From your personal perspective, Uncle Ning has chosen to work with us. What about other perspectives? Lu Yuan asked softly as he looked at Ning Fengji. Then, from the perspective of the stability of the entire continent, the Martial Soul Palace is very powerful now. They control more than 60% of the soul masters in the world. Furthermore, they've been up to no end in recent years. I'm afraid they're up to no good. A storm is brewing on the entire continent. Furthermore, there was news a year ago that even the vast Heaven Douluo, whose name shook the entire continent, had perished. Although we don't know the exact cause of his death, the vast Heaven Douluo was very powerful. I'm afraid only the Martial Soul Palace has the ability to kill him. Sigh, the Martial Soul Palace is so powerful. If we don't work together, how are we going to contend against them in the future? Ning Fengji sighed softly and said, Lu Yuan faltered upon hearing this, and a strange look appeared on his face. He turned to Ning Fengji and asked softly, Uncle Ning, didn't Rong Rong tell you how the vast Heaven Douluo died? No. Does Rong Rong know how the vast Heaven Douluo died? A hint of surprise appeared on Ning Fengji's face upon hearing Lu Yuan's words, and he couldn't help but turn to Ning Rongrong. Being stared at by Ning Fengji, Ning Rongrong nodded slightly and said, I wasn't very clear at first, but when Tang San was unconscious, he said that his father was killed by the Star Ox Python and that he wanted to take revenge. That's how I knew. Then why didn't you tell Father? Ning Fengji couldn't help but ask. Father, you didn't ask me, so how would I know that you wanted to know? Ning Rongrong pouted at the sound of Ning Fengji's questioning voice, and a hint of indignation appeared in her voice. Ning Fengji's expression faltered slightly upon hearing this. What a powerful reason. He had no response to this. Xiao Yuan, can you tell me the ins and outs of the whole thing? Ning Fengji asked as he turned to Lu Yuan. He was very interested in the cause of Tang Hao's death. The fact that the mighty vast Heaven Douluo had been killed by the Sky Azure Bull Python was quite interesting, and he was also very curious. Of course. I'll have to start from a little rabbit by the name of Xiao Wu. Lu Yuan began to recount the entire story. Tang Hao wanted to obtain that 100,000-year-old soft-bone rabbit's soul ring and soul bone, which was why he was killed by the sky azure bull python and the titan giant ape. He deserved it. Lu Yuan explained in an indifferent voice. Chapter 557. So that's how it is. Ning Fengji nodded after hearing Lu Yuan's words. No wonder the vast sky Douluo had perished. He had been beaten up by the sky azure bull python and the titan giant ape while he was injured. It would be strange if he hadn't perished. After all, the sky azure bull python and the titan giant ape were both very powerful soul beasts. Tang Hao was also injured, so it was normal for him to lose in a 1 versus 2 battle. However, Tang Hao had a death wish. He actually bullied this kid and was severely injured by the Dragon Emperor, Douluo. Otherwise, he might not have died. It could only be said that Tang Hao had a death wish. Ning Fengji had originally thought that Tang Hao had been killed by the martial soul palace. Who would have thought that he would die in such a way? Ning Fengji sighed in his heart. However, a thought suddenly flashed through Ning Fengji's mind as if he had thought of something. He hurriedly asked, "Obu Chi, according to what you said, there are 300,000-year soul beasts in the great Stardow forest. The sky azure bull python, the titan giant ape, and that little rabbit. What? Uncle Ning is also interested in that 100,000-year soul ring." Lu Yuan asked with a hint of a smile as he looked at Ning Fengji. Who wouldn't be tempted by a 100,000-year soul ring? It's a supreme treasure in the world of soul masters. However, I'm just asking. No one in our 7 treasures glazed sect needs it. Ning Fengji chuckled. Right now, no one in the 7 treasures glazed sect had reached rank 90, so a 100,000-year soul ring was useless to them. If he had to face the sky azure bull python and the titan giant ape just for a 100,000-year soul bone, it wouldn't be worth it. Thus, Ning Fengji had no intention of going to the great Stardow forest to kill Xiao Wu. It's good that Uncle Ning doesn't have such thoughts. The Great Stardow Forest isn't a good place to go. It's very deep. If Uncle Ning had such thoughts, even if all the higher-ups of your 7 treasures glazed sect were mobilized, as well as Senior Jian and Senior Gu, there wouldn't be many people who could return alive, Lu Yuan said. What? The Great Stardow Forest is actually so terrifying? Ning Fengji couldn't help but exclaim when he heard Lu Yuan's words. Could it be that there's some secret in the Great Stardow Forest that I don't know about? Or are there other terrifying soul beasts hiding here? Ning Fengji looked at Lu Yuan and asked softly. Lu Yuan sipped his tea as he softly said, Uncle Ning's guess is correct. There's an extremely terrifying savage beast in the Great Stardow Forest. Furthermore, it's extremely powerful. Elder Long fought with that savage beast before, and in the end, Elder Long was defeated by that savage beast. Even with Elder Long's cultivation, he was defeated by that savage beast. If it was Elder Jian or Elder Gu, Uncle Ning, you can imagine the consequences. Ning Fengji drew a cold breath when he heard this. If even the Dragon Emperor Douluo had been defeated, then the Sword Douluo and Bone Douluo would definitely be killed. Obu Chi, can you reveal the identity of that savage beast? Ning Fengji asked. That's possible. That's a golden-eyed black dragon king with over 800,000 years of cultivation. It's extremely powerful. Looking at the current continent, if you don't count the gods, it should be the strongest. In a one-on-one fight, no one would be its match, Lu Yuan said faintly. A golden-eyes black dragon king with more than 800,000 years of cultivation? Ning Fengji couldn't help but exclaim when he heard this. There was a look of astonishment on his face. He wasn't the only one. Ning Rongrong, the Sword Douluo, and even Zhu Zhuqing, who was beside Lu Yuan, were all astonished. There's actually a soul beast with more than 800,000 years of cultivation in this world. Furthermore, it's a pure-blooded dragon. No wonder it's so powerful. Even Long Xiaoyao was defeated. A soul beast like this must have reached an unimaginable level. Obu Chi, I have a question. If this golden eyes Black Dragon King is so powerful, why haven't we heard of it in the world of soul masters? Ning Fengji was a little puzzled as he asked. That's because it's always been in a deep slumber. It only woke up not long ago. If Elder Long hadn't told me, I wouldn't have known about this. Lu Yuan said plainly. He used Long Xiaoyao as a scapegoat once again. I see. Ning Fengji believed Lu Yuan after hearing his words. This was because Lu Yuan's words made sense. He had no choice but to believe him. However, with such a powerful savage beast around, can human soul masters still enter the great star Douluo forest to hunt soul beasts? Ning Fengji immediately asked this question. Of course they can. It's fine to hunt ordinary soul beasts, as long as they don't enter the core region to hunt 100,000-year soul beasts. Lu Yuan said softly. Phew, that's good. Ning Fengji heaved a sigh of relief after hearing Lu Yuan's words. While 100,000-year soul beasts were precious, there were very few people who needed them. Ordinary 1,000-year or 10,000-year soul beasts were what soul masters needed the most. It was fine as long as they could still hunt soul beasts. As for the core region, the Seven Treasures glazed sect wouldn't enter it anyway. As for whether other people would enter, that had nothing to do with him. After all, he couldn't stop others from seeking death. Furthermore, he suddenly realized that Tang Hao's death wasn't unjust at all. Even if he hadn't been killed by the Sky Azure Bull Python and the Titan Giant Ape, he would have been swallowed by the Golden Eyes Black Dragon King. Even a Dragon Emperor had been defeated. How could Tang Hao have escaped after being brutally crushed by the Dragon Emperor? That's impossible. Tang Hao's death is inevitable. Ning Fengji couldn't help but sigh as he thought about it. Thank you for telling me this, Obu Qi. Ning Fengji thanked Lu Yuan. He knew that Lu Yuan's information was top secret on the continent. If not for Lu Yuan's information, he might have gone crazy and entered the core region of the Great Star Douluo forest to hunt 100,000-year soul beasts. The consequences would have been dire. Now that he knew about the existence of the Golden Eyes Black Dragon King, he wouldn't dare to enter the core region. His life was more important after all. It's nothing. It's just a small matter. However, please don't tell anyone about the Golden Eyes Black Dragon King. Uncle Ning, Lu Yuan said softly. After all, he had deliberately set up a trap for the Clear Sky sect. If the Clear Sky sect knew about the existence of such a creature in the Great Star Douluo forest, they wouldn't dare to enter the core region even if they were beaten to death. Wouldn't his plan fail then? In fact, Lu Yuan wouldn't have bothered to explain so much if not for the fact that the Seven Treasures glazed sect could be considered one of his own, and he didn't want them to be slapped to death by the Bear Lord. He wasn't a chatterbox. All right, don't worry. Uncle Ning won't tell anyone about this. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Ning Fengji was momentarily stunned. However, he immediately agreed. Even though he didn't know why Lu Yuan wanted him to keep his secret, Lu Yuan had to have his reasons for saying so. Ning Fengji naturally wouldn't go against him. Furthermore, it was fine for him to keep this information to himself. As for whether others knew about it or not, that was their business. Did their deaths have anything to do with Ning Fengji? No, not at all. Therefore, it wasn't difficult for Ning Fengji to agree. Chapter 558. Oh yes, Obuchi, what's your decision about cooperating with the Heaven Do Imperial family? The Martial Soul Palace is too strong right now. We can only fight against the Martial Soul Palace if we work together. Although the Dragon King Palace is strong, there's still a big gap between you and the Martial Soul Palace. The Martial Soul Palace also has its own limit. They have more than 10 titled Douluo, and they're terrifyingly strong. Furthermore, the Martial Soul Palace is very domineering, and they'll kill people at the slightest provocation. The Dragon King Palace is a big tree that attracts the wind. Even if you don't provoke them, they'll still target you. You'll have to face them sooner or later. If you don't work together, it'll be very difficult for you to fight against the Martial Soul Palace. However, it'll be different if you cooperate with the Heaven Do Imperial family. With the entire Heaven Do Empire as your backing, and with the two of us working together, we won't have to fear the Martial Soul Palace anymore. Ning Fengji's tone changed as he looked at Lu Yuan. Uncle Ning, aren't you going a little overboard? Is the martial soul palace really as bad as you say? Lu Yuan couldn't help but shake his head and laugh when he heard Ning Fengji's words. AI Obuchi, you don't know. Many geniuses die at the hands of the martial soul palace every year because they don't want to join the martial soul palace. Furthermore, many members of the martial soul palace bully and take advantage of others. These things are very common. Ning Fengji sighed and said with a trace of pity in his voice. Huh. Lu Yuan couldn't help but chuckle when he heard Ning Fengji's words. There was a trace of mockery in his laughter. Obuchi, why are you laughing? Ning Fengji was a little puzzled as he asked. I'm just laughing at how ridiculous your words are, Uncle Ning. You said that the martial soul palace hunts geniuses and bullies others. Don't the nobles and sects of the empire do these things? They will only do worse than the martial soul palace. In my opinion, these people are even more despicable than the martial soul palace. At the very least, the martial soul palace has helped commoners awaken their martial souls. They've even given them subsidies and given commoners a way out. That's quite a contribution. But what about the nobles of the empire? They only know how to exploit the commoners. They are nothing more than a bunch of parasites that lie on the commoners and suck their blood and sweat dry. The martial soul palace is even worse than the martial soul palace. How many commoners die because of the oppression of the two empires' nobles every year? Every year, how many families are torn apart because of them? Uncle Ning, don't tell me you don't know anything about these things. Lu Yuan said with a smile. Hearing this, Ning Fengji fell silent. He couldn't refute because what Lu Yuan said was the truth. The current situation of the nobles was just so unbearable. He had already seen many of these things. Father, are the current nobles of the empire really as unbearable as Obuchi said? Ning Rongrong raised her head and looked at Ning Fengji with disbelief in her eyes. Growing up, she had heard Ning Fengji talk about how tyrannical and evil the martial soul palace was more than once. She didn't expect that the sects and nobles of the empire were even more unbearable than the martial soul palace. She couldn't believe it for a moment. This is only a small portion. Not all nobles are like this. Facing his daughter's words, Ning Fengji's eyes flickered slightly as he said softly, Uncle Ning, are you sure it's only a small portion and not the majority? Lu Yuan's indifferent voice sounded. Obuchi, do you hate nobles so much? Don't forget, you're also a noble. Seeing Lu Yuan chasing after him, Ning Fengji couldn't help but say, Uncle Ning, this has nothing to do with whether I'm a noble or not. I'm also not hostile to the two empires. What I want to say is, Uncle Ning, when you're trying to persuade me, don't talk about how evil the martial soul palace is. That will only make me laugh. Whether they hunt geniuses or not has nothing to do with me. I don't care in the slightest, as long as they don't provoke me. I care more about my own interests. This is the eternal theme between factions. If you want to persuade me, you should start from this aspect and not talk about how evil others are. It's fine to trick children, but don't play this game in front of me. Lu Yuan said indifferently. You brat. Hearing Lu Yuan's words, Ning Fengji couldn't help but shake his head helplessly. He didn't think that a day would come where he would be taught a lesson by youth. Alas, this brat isn't the ordinary kind of mature. It seems that I've underestimated him. Then regarding the cooperation, Obuchi, if you have any other ideas, you can tell Uncle Ning. Uncle Ning will help you convey them. Since Lu Yuan had pointed out the truth, Ning Fengji didn't bother with the empty words and went straight to the main course. Ha! Lu Yuan chuckled at Ning Fengji's words. Uncle Ning, it's useless to say anything more now. You can't make the decision on this matter. As for the specifics, let's talk about it in person with the snowy Night Emperor. So you're saying that you agree to the cooperation? Hearing this, Ning Fengji revealed a surprised smile on his face. If the Dragon King Hall really cooperated with the Heaven Do imperial family, the Seven Treasures Glaze sect would definitely benefit from it. He couldn't help but be happy about this. It's hard to say whether I agree or not. It depends on the old man's sincerity. If he wants the support of the Dragon King Hall, he'll have to give us some benefits. I won't do anything without benefits. Lu Yuan smiled and said, Of course. I don't think the emperor will be stingy about this. Ning Fengji continued the conversation and said, Haha, I hope so. My appetite is very big. Lu Yuan said plainly, Haha, don't worry, Obuchi. I know the emperor. He's very sincere about cooperating with the Dragon King Hall. I think you'll be satisfied with his example. Ning Fengji said with a smile. Hearing this, Lu Yuan shrugged and didn't comment. All right, let's stop here. Uncle Ning, I'll bring you to the warehouse to take a look at the soul tools. You can bring them back at the same time. Lu Yuan stood up and said, All right, I'm also very interested in these new soul tools that you've created. I wonder if you designed any new soul tools? Seeing that Lu Yuan had invited him to take a look at soul tools, Ning Fengji immediately agreed. He stood up and chuckled. I have one or two new ones. They're quite useful. Uncle Ning, you can evaluate them. Lu Yuan smiled and said, That's great. Hearing this, Ning Fengji's eyes brightened. Chapter 559. What do you think of these soul tools, Uncle Ning? Lu Yuan smiled and asked as he watched Ning Fengji look at the soul tool gun in his hand. Not bad. I feel that this soul tool gun is much more powerful than a soul pistol. Ning Fengji sighed in admiration. That's only natural. Soul pistols can only fire one shot at a time, but this soul rapid-fire gun is different. As long as it's loaded with pre-made soul bullets, it'll be able to fire dozens or even hundreds of shots in a short period of time. Its power will definitely be much stronger. Although it will burn a little money, I think Uncle Ning doesn't lack money the most. Lu Yuan chuckled softly. Ning Fengji couldn't help but laugh when he heard this. Just as Lu Yuan had said, the Seven Treasures Glazed sect didn't lack money. What they lacked was their own fighting strength. If they could increase their fighting strength, what was a little bit of money? It was just a drizzle. Who asked the Seven Treasures Glazed sect to be so inhumane? Ning Fengji was a little reluctant as he put down his spear. After that, he picked up a soul lightsaber. This soul lightsaber was a class 4 soul tool, but it was quite powerful. Furthermore, the length of the lightsaber could be adjusted at will. For soul masters from the Seven Treasures Glazed sect, it was a pretty good close combat weapon. Ning Fengji was looking at all kinds of soul tools, while Lu Yuan was looking around in boredom. Suddenly, Lu Yuan's gaze froze. Ning Rongrong's unhappy little face entered his vision. Lu Yuan frowned slightly and walked towards Ning Rongrong. Rongrong, what's wrong? Why are you frowning? Are you unhappy? Ning Rongrong was still confused when a gentle voice entered her ears. Ning Rongrong lifted her head to look. It was Lu Yuan. She didn't know when he had walked to her side. Lu Yuan, I didn't know that the Empire's nobles were so despicable. I've always been proud of my identity as a noble. I thought that the Martial Soul Palace hunted geniuses and committed all kinds of evil. I didn't expect them to be the same. I feel like my understanding of the world has collapsed. This isn't how I imagine nobles to be. In my imagination, nobles should be elegant and graceful. They shouldn't only exploit commoners and destroy their families. Ning Rongrong couldn't help but speak her mind as she faced Lu Yuan. Sigh, silly girl, I was wondering what you were thinking about. After hearing Ning Rongrong's words, Lu Yuan couldn't help but shake his head. Although she has the nickname of the little demoness, she's still very innocent. It seems like she's been protected too well by Ning Fengji since she was young. She doesn't understand the viciousness of the human heart at all. Lu Yuan reached out and rubbed Ning Rongrong's head. He sighed and said, whether it's the two empires or the Martial Soul Palace, apart from a few exceptions, the nobles are basically the same. Nobles and commoners are two different classes. For thousands of years, it's normal for nobles to exploit commoners. You can't change this. What others do is their business. You don't have to be proud of your identity as a noble, nor do you have to be ashamed of your identity as a commoner. The most important thing is to be yourself. There are scum among nobles and heroes among commoners. What other nobles do has nothing to do with you, Ning Rongrong. As long as you're dignified, graceful and kind, it's enough. Why think so much? Yeah, I just have to be myself. Why do I have to worry about these things? After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Ning Rongrong's eyes lit up and emitted a resplendent radiance. Lu Yuan, thank you. Ning Rongrong grabbed Lu Yuan's hand that was rubbing her head and put it on her face. She said softly, "No need to thank me. After all, we're friends now, aren't we?" Lu Yuan said with a smile. "Just friends?" Ning Rongrong raised her head and stared at Lu Yuan with a pair of ice-blue eyes. "About that, ahem." Lu Yuan coughed and pulled his hand out of Ning Rongrong's grasp. He said, "Uncle Ning seems to have seen enough. Let's go over and take a look." After saying that, he moved his feet and walked over to Ning Fengji. "Damn it, why don't you respond to me directly?" Seeing that Lu Yuan was once again pretending to be deaf and mute and avoiding the topic, Ning Rongrong couldn't help but stomp her feet. She was a little angry and pouted. Why was it so difficult for her to chase after Lu Yuan? However, even though she was angry, Ning Rongrong still walked towards Lu Yuan and the others after stomping her feet. It couldn't be helped. Lu Yuan had been avoiding talking about his feelings for her, but she still couldn't let go of Lu Yuan. This was because Lu Yuan was simply too fragrant. She just couldn't stop herself from lusting after Lu Yuan. She, Ning Rongrong, couldn't bear to let go of such an outstanding man. "Uncle Ning, here you are." Lu Yuan passed 3 white soul tool rings to Ning Fengji. There were all kinds of soul tools inside. Okay, Ning Fengji took the 3 soul tool rings and carefully placed them in his pocket. He had no choice. These were the treasures of the 7 treasures glazed sect. If one of them was lost, it would be a huge loss for the sect. One ring was worth tens of millions of gold soul coins. Although the 7 treasures glazed sect was rich and inhumane, it was still a little painful to throw away tens of millions of gold soul coins. After all, no one's money came from the wind. "Uncle Ning, let's go out first. I'll show you around. You can have lunch at my place today." Lu Yuan smiled. "Of course, I don't dare to invite you. Since Obuchi has invited us, Uncle Ning won't stand on ceremony. I also want to see how the food in the Dragon King Palace is like." Ning Fengji said with a smile. "Haha, I don't think it will disappoint Uncle Ning." Lu Yuan chuckled and said. Lu Yuan and the others began to stroll around the Dragon King Palace with Ning Fengji and the others. As they walked, they came to an empty square. On this square, there were many people fighting in pairs. "Where is this?" Ning Fengji asked curiously. "This is the Dragon King Palace's martial arts practice field. There are disciples fighting each other here every day to accumulate combat experience. After all, a soul master's rank is important, but the most important thing is their combat ability. This is a place specially for them to train their combat ability." Lu Yuan said softly. "Oh." Hearing this, Ning Fengji couldn't help but nod his head. He looked at the soul masters fighting in the field. A faint smile appeared on Lu Yuan's face upon seeing this, and he turned his gaze toward the sword Douluo, upon which a thought suddenly occurred to him. He looked at the sword Douluo and laughed softly. "Senior Sword, why don't we have a match here?" Chapter 560. You want to spar with me? The sword Douluo was stunned when he heard Lu Yuan's words. Then, a strange look appeared on his face. "I'm a rank 96 transcendent Douluo, and you're only rank 58. You want to spar with me?" Even Ning Fengji, Ning Rongrong, and Zhu Zhuqing were shocked. What did Lu Yuan just say? He wants to spar with the sword Douluo? Isn't he a little too bold? "Obuchi, Uncle Jian is a rank 96 transcendent Douluo. You can't beat him," Ning Fengji said softly as he looked at Lu Yuan. Ning Rongrong and the others also looked at Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan was strong, but there was still a big gap between him and the sword Douluo. They didn't want Lu Yuan to get hurt. After all, blades had no eyes. Even if the sword Douluo went easy on him, Lu Yuan would still be hurt. They didn't want that to happen. "I know that. I'm not really going to spar with Elder Jian. I just want to spar with my sword and spear techniques. I won't use any soul skills." Lu Yuan smiled when he saw the worried looks on everyone's faces. You want to spar with your sword and spear techniques? Everyone heaved a sigh of relief when they heard Lu Yuan's words. They really thought that Lu Yuan didn't know his place and wanted to spar with the sword Douluo. It turned out that he wanted to spar with his sword and spear techniques without using any soul power. In that case, it was fine. What do you think, Elder Jian? Lu Yuan smiled as he looked at the sword Douluo. The sword Douluo looked at Lu Yuan before he turned to Ning Fengji. Ning Fengji nodded gently at him. The sword Douluo was instantly enlightened, and he turned to Lu Yuan as he said in an indifferent voice, "All right, let's have a match here." "Thank you, Elder Jian. After this spar, I'll give you 2 longevity pills as compensation for your help," Lu Yuan said with a smile. Ning Fengji and the sword Douluo's eyes lit up when they heard that. They had heard of longevity pills for a long time, but they had never seen one before. Douluo's advertisement was too good. He directly advertised it during the Continental Elite Soul Master Tournament, causing a sensation in Heaven Do Imperial City. It was hard for them not to know about it. Pills that could extend one's lifespan were extremely tempting to titled Douluo, especially those who were very old. Even someone like the sword Douluo, who had always been rather aloof and indifferent, couldn't ignore these pills. If it had been any other reward, he probably wouldn't have accepted it, but for something like the longevity pill, he really couldn't reject it. "Obuchi, are you for real?" Fengji asked hurriedly. "Of course," Lu Yuan said softly. Ning Fengji couldn't help but be delighted when he heard Lu Yuan's words. However, he wasn't an ordinary person. Lu Yuan must have his own reasons for suddenly proposing a duel with the sword Douluo. Otherwise, he wouldn't have offered 2 longevity pills as a reward. That was equivalent to giving the sword Douluo 10 years of his lifespan. This was too important for the 7 treasures glazed sect. "Obuchi, do you want to ask Uncle Jian for some advice?" "If you do, I'm sure Uncle Jian will guide you without holding back," Ning Fengji said softly. The sword Douluo also nodded. If Lu Yuan really wanted his advice, even if he didn't mention the longevity pills, just the cooperation between the Dragon King Hall and the 7 treasures glazed sect and Ning Rongrong's infatuation with Lu Yuan were enough for him to teach him. Of course, he wouldn't be biased with the longevity pills. "I knew I couldn't hide it from Uncle Ning." Lu Yuan smiled and said, "There are 2 main reasons why I want to spar with Senior Jian. The first reason is that we are both people who have comprehended spear intent and sword intent respectively. There are too few people on the continent who have comprehended intent. Now that I've seen Senior Jian, I naturally want to spar with him and verify my comprehension of intent. The second reason is because I am currently trying to create a spear technique, but I have reached a bottleneck. Therefore, I want Senior Jian to give me some pointers on how to nurture killing intent into the spear technique. After all, Senior Jian's 7 annihilation swordplay is famous throughout the continent." "I see." Hearing this, the sword Douluo was enlightened. He looked at Lu Yuan and said softly, "Later, you can use it as you wish. If there is anything you don't understand, feel free to ask. As long as I know, I will answer it for you." "Thank you, Senior Jian. However, I think your sword technique may be more convincing than your explanation," Lu Yuan said with a smile. "Haha kid, you're interesting." The sword Douluo understood Lu Yuan's words. Lu Yuan wanted him to go all out and not go easy on him. If Lu Yuan wanted to know, he would find out by himself through the sword technique. Thinking of this, the sword Douluo couldn't help but praise in his heart. This young man is really confident. He is sure that if he doesn't use his soul skills, he won't be able to defeat him. This kind of confidence is really in line with his usual style. "Senior Jian, please." Since he was going to spar with the sword Douluo, Lu Yuan naturally immediately ordered people to clear a large space in the sparring field. After knowing that their hallmaster was going to spar with the 7 treasures glazed sect sword Douluo, all the members of the Dragon King Hall who were fighting in the sparring field immediately stopped fighting and prepared to watch the duel. Lu Yuan and the sword Douluo quickly walked to the empty field and stood facing each other. The distance between the 2 of them was less than 3 meters. Both of them were dressed in white, and they were standing with their backs straight. The sword Douluo's silver hair was neatly combed, and he was like a sharp sword that had been unsheathed. His aura was extremely sharp, and his eyes were resolute and persistent. Invisible sword chi emanated from his body, and he was a true swordsman. However, Lu Yuan was different. Although he was also dressed in white, Lu Yuan's long black hair was cascading over his shoulders. Lu Yuan's figure was tall and straight, and his long hair and white robes fluttered gently in the breeze. He was very elegant. However, Lu Yuan's eyes suddenly focused, and his aura suddenly changed. His body was like a spear that held up the sky. An invisible and vigorous aura emanated from Lu Yuan's body, and it clashed with the sword Douluo's sharp aura. Interesting. Seeing this scene, the sword Douluo couldn't help but narrow his eyes. Lu Yuan's aura wasn't inferior to his at all. If his aura was sharp enough to destroy everything, then Lu Yuan's aura was vigorous and domineering enough to support heaven and earth. In terms of aura, Lu Yuan wasn't inferior to him at all. Chapter 561. Obuchi's aura is actually on par with Uncle Jian's. Ning Fengji couldn't help but exclaim in surprise when he saw the two of them colliding head-on and neither giving way to the other. There was a trace of disbelief in his tone. The sword Douluo was a rank 96 transcendent Douluo, and he had been immersed in the way of the sword for many years. His aura was sharp and fierce, and he was renowned even among titled Douluo. But now his aura was actually being completely countered by Lu Yuan. Furthermore, judging from Lu Yuan's appearance, his vigorous aura wasn't inferior to the sword Douluo's at all. Ning Fengji couldn't believe it. Although aura wasn't the same as coercion because neither of them used soul power, the sword Douluo's sword intent was extremely sharp and oppressive. His sword intent was contained within his aura, and it made his aura exceptionally strong. However, Lu Yuan wasn't inferior to the sword Douluo at all. Not to mention his own aura, his understanding of spear intent was probably not inferior to the sword Douluo's. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to fight the sword Douluo to a draw. It was precisely because he knew this that Ning Fengji was even more astonished. Intent was originally very difficult to comprehend, and there were very few people on the Douluo continent who had comprehended intent. However, not only did Lu Yuan comprehend spear intent at such a young age, his attainments in spear intent weren't inferior to the sword Douluo's attainments in sword intent. This was a little terrifying. What a genius! Ning Fengji couldn't help but praise in his heart. So handsome. Looking at Lu Yuan, who was exuding a vigorous aura, Ning Rongrong's ice blue eyes couldn't help but sparkle. She looked like a love-struck fool. This man was really too handsome, and she couldn't help but be captivated by his charm. Zhu Zhuqing was also looking at Lu Yuan, and the corners of her mouth curled up slightly. Her eyes were shining faintly. This man was always so dazzling. As for the rest of the spectators, they all opened their eyes wide and were ready to watch a good show. What a sharp sword intent, Senior Jian, Lu Yuan said with a faint smile. Your spear intent isn't bad either. I'm afraid it has already reached greater mastery. The sword Douluo said softly with a hint of emotion in his voice. He had cultivated bitterly for so many years to reach greater mastery of sword intent. He thought that there weren't many people in the world who could compare to him, but he didn't expect Lu Yuan to reach greater mastery of spear intent at only 14 years old. In terms of intent comprehension, he wasn't inferior to him at all. It was just a fluke. Lu Yuan smiled and said, Senior Jian, let's begin. The sword Douluo's voice sounded. The sword says golden dragon spears. The swords SSSSSST. The sword Douluo did the same. He waved his hand slightly, and a 1 meter long, 2.5 fingers wide sword appeared in his hand. It was his strongest sword, the 7 Kills sword. Although the sword Douluo had summoned his 7 Kills sword, his soul ring didn't appear. Just as Lu Yuan had said, this round was just for sparring with spear and sword techniques. They wouldn't use any soul skills, so neither side would use any of their powers. With the sword Douluo's cultivation, it was very easy for him to summon his martial soul and hide his soul ring. He wasn't the only one who could do this. In fact, many titled Douluo could do this as long as their control and understanding of their martial soul reached a certain level. It wasn't very difficult. Even the current Lu Yuan couldn't do it. After all, even though Lu Yuan was a genius, he was still far too young compared to these old antiques. Furthermore, his rank was still too low. Generally speaking, a soul master would only fully understand their martial soul when they became a soul sage. Only with a martial soul true body could a soul master truly understand the uniqueness of their martial soul, and only then could they better control it. Without reaching that level, one wouldn't be able to experience that feeling. This didn't have much to do with one's fighting strength. It was just a feeling that couldn't be described with words. However, Lu Yuan hadn't come into contact with this feeling yet. "Senior sword, it's starting." Lu Yuan reminded the sword Douluo. He stomped his foot forcefully, and a spiderweb-like crack immediately appeared where his foot landed. Using this force, Lu Yuan charged directly towards the sword Douluo. He raised his spear horizontally and stabbed it towards the sword Douluo. Spear technique, falling star. The golden spear was strangely suffused with a wisp of silver light. Lu Yuan's body was like a bolt of lightning, and he instantly appeared in front of the sword Douluo. He stabbed his golden dragon spear directly towards the sword Douluo's chest. "Not bad." The sword Douluo spoke softly. His eyes focused, and he raised his 7-kill sword, which clashed directly with the tip of the golden dragon spear. Suddenly, a dazzling spark exploded. The tip of the sword clashed with the tip of the spear, and Lu Yuan's hand couldn't help but go numb. He was forced back 4 or 5 steps before he could stabilize himself. Similarly, the sword Douluo was also forced back 4 or 5 steps by Lu Yuan's spear. What powerful soul power! What great strength! Lu Yuan's voice sounded almost at the same time as the sword Douluo's voice. The sword Douluo's powerful soul power had exerted immense pressure on Lu Yuan. The sword Douluo was at rank 96, while Lu Yuan was at rank 58. There was a difference of 38 ranks between the two of them, and the difference in soul power was so great that Lu Yuan found it very difficult to resist the sword Douluo's attack. The sword Douluo was also in a similar situation. Although his soul power was much more powerful than Lu Yuan's, he couldn't use his soul skills now. If he could use his soul skills, Lu Yuan would quickly be defeated by the sword Douluo. However, since he couldn't use his soul skills, the effect of his soul power wasn't as great as imagined. Just like in the City of Massacre, Hulina and the others were able to kill soul sages as soul kings in the original work because they couldn't use their soul skills. Otherwise, it would be very easy for soul sages to kill soul kings. The current situation was the same. Although the sword Douluo's soul power was much more powerful than Lu Yuan's, he couldn't use his soul skills. In fact, although his soul power was still effective, it wasn't that great. Furthermore, Lu Yuan's immense strength had reached 150,000 kilograms after Lu Yuan's further development. This was an extremely terrifying number, and it was enough to crush the sword Douluo. After all, the sword Douluo's forte was offense and not strength. Therefore, the sword Douluo was forced back a few steps by Lu Yuan's immense strength. In their first clash, both parties were actually evenly matched. It could be said that Lu Yuan's strength made up for his lack of soul power to a certain extent. This was going to be a tough fight. Chapter 562. Again, Senior Sword. Lu Yuan gripped his golden dragon's spear tightly as he looked at the sword Douluo, and a hint of battle intent appeared in his heart. He gripped his golden dragon's spear tightly as he charged forward again. "That's exactly what I want." The sword Douluo's eyes abruptly opened at the sight of Lu Yuan charging toward him again, and a sharp aura instantly flashed through his eyes. "Be careful, Senior Sword." Lu Yuan swept his golden dragon spear through the air, and powerful and sharp spear intent was released without reservation. He thrust his golden dragon spear forward, and the sound of splashing waves could be heard. This was none other than one of his self-invented spear techniques, Vast Ocean. Bring it on. The sword Douluo roared as he slashed his 7 kills sword through the air. A sharp and dazzling silver thread seemed to have pierced through space, and it was imbued with a sharpness that seemed to be able to slice through all things as it hurtled directly toward Lu Yuan. Sword Chi thread. Lu Yuan's expression abruptly darkened at the sight of this silver thread. Sword Chi thread was something that could only be achieved by someone who had reached a very high level of mastery in the way of the sword. The way of the sword was about destroying all abilities with a single sword strike, and the sword Douluo was naturally still very far away from that level. However, there was no doubt that he was already quite close to that level. It could be said that Sword Chi thread was the first step on the path of destroying all abilities with a single sword strike. Even though there were still countless paths that he had to take, he had finally embarked on this path. Sword Chi thread possessed extremely high offensive power, so even Lu Yuan didn't dare to underestimate it. After resisting the sword Douluo's attack with his golden dragon spear, Lu Yuan hurriedly switched to his own spear technique, Vortex, which was a variation of his self-invented soul skill, calm as still water. Spear technique. Vortex was the only defensive spear technique that Lu Yuan had invented, and it possessed extremely powerful defensive abilities. Not only could the complete Vortex nullify attacks, it could also engulf energy, and it was extraordinarily powerful. At the same time, it also had a few other variations. One of them was calm as still water. There was no other side to this technique aside from its ability to nullify the enemy's attack. The attack power of Sword Chi thread was very strong. Spear technique. Strength of the vast ocean was not enough, but if he added calm as still water, then it would be enough to deal with it. Not bad. Take this. Sword splits the universe. The sword Douluo arrived beside Lu Yuan in an instant. Silver light erupted from his 7 kills sword, and it instantly lengthened by several times. The sword Douluo wielded his sword with one hand and slashed it viciously toward Lu Yuan. The sword Douluo didn't hold back at all. Or rather, he wouldn't hold back from a moment he clashed with Lu Yuan. This was a battle between a sword and a spear, a battle between a swordsman and a spear user. Looking at the huge 7-kill sword that was slashing towards him, the endless sharp aura even made Lu Yuan feel a strong chill and needle-like pain on his skin. However, Lu Yuan wasn't surprised at all. Instead, he laughed. This was the kind of battle he wanted. Only at the critical moment could a person's potential erupt and have a greater breakthrough. Good timing. Lu Yuan's golden dragon blood essence surged wildly within his body, and a large amount of soul power was injected into his golden dragon spear. Instantly, the golden dragon spear shone brightly with golden light, and an invisible dragon's might permeated the air. Vast Ocean Universe. This was the most powerful technique from the Vast Ocean Spear art, and it had been with Lu Yuan for many years. Although Lu Yuan had created his own spear technique after comprehending the Vast Ocean Spear art, the power of his spear technique was far inferior to Vast Ocean Universe. This was because Lu Yuan was still too immature when he created it. It was only his first step. Over the years, Lu Yuan had been using his self-created spear technique and rarely used Vast Ocean Universe. However, this didn't mean that Vast Ocean Universe wasn't powerful. It was just that Lu Yuan wanted to embark on his own path, so he didn't use it. However, in the face of the sword Douluo's sword splits the universe, Lu Yuan decisively used Vast Ocean Universe. He thrust his golden dragon spear forward, and it was as if a boundless ocean had appeared in the air. It was as if the ocean waves were surging up into the heavens, and the loud booms being emitted by the surging waves were also ringing out right beside his ears. This was one of the unique phenomena that could only be seen when one cultivated the Vast Ocean Spear art to perfection. Only those who had completely comprehended the Vast Ocean Spear intent could achieve this. The golden dragon spear clashed with the giant 7-kill sword, and energy surged. A loud explosion immediately rang out, and stone fragments flew everywhere as a cloud of dust filled the air. The meticulously laid ground was like a thin piece of paper in the face of their attacks. It was completely shattered into stone fragments, and a massive crater appeared in the ground. How is it? How's the situation? Lu Yuan and Sword Douluo's figures were completely obscured by the cloud of dust, so Ning Fengji and the others couldn't see what was going on in the cloud of dust. Ning Rongrong couldn't help but ask anxiously. It was important to know that one of the two people in the cloud of dust was Grandpa Jian, and the other was Lu Yuan, whom she had given her heart to. No matter who was injured, her heart would ache for a long time. Hence, she was very worried at this moment. "It's fine, they're still fighting," Ma Xiaotao said. This was Ma Xiaotao's voice. As Lu Yuan's personal bodyguard, she had never left Lu Yuan's side after Long Xiaoyao took charge of the law enforcement hall, even in the Dragon King Hall. "They're still fighting?" After hearing Ma Xiaotao's words, everyone couldn't help but raise their eyebrows as they stared at the dust-filled arena. The cloud of dust gradually dissipated, and Lu Yuan and Sword Douluo's figures were revealed. "Haha, Elder Jian, take another move of mine, 1,000 years space-time." Lu Yuan laughed heartily. With a thought in his mind, he immediately used the 1,000-year space-time from the 13 halberds of the sea god. When he used this move, it was as if thousands of spear projections of the golden dragon spear appeared in the air. Furthermore, every single one of them seemed to possess immense offensive strength. The 1,000-year space-time was the second move of the 13 halberds of the sea god. It was extremely powerful. "Good move. Take my 7 kills sword." The Sword Douluo roared. Silver light flashed from his 7 kills sword, and he flicked his wrist. Every time his sword slashed down, a huge black kill word would appear. In an instant, the Sword Douluo had slashed out 7 kill words consecutively. This was an extremely powerful killing move of the 7 kill sword technique. The Sword Douluo waved his sword, and the 7 kill words crashed towards Lu Yuan with immense power. 7 kills sword technique. Good move. Faced with the Sword Douluo's attack, Lu Yuan wasn't afraid at all. Thousands of spear projections of the golden dragon spear met the 7 kill words. "Break, break, break, break!" Lu Yuan roared. His blood essence power and soul power were circulating at high speeds. Every single spear strike of the golden dragon spear would forcefully break a kill word. In the blink of an eye, he had already broken 6 kill words. "Break the last one too." Lu Yuan clenched his right hand tightly, and the veins on his arm bulged. He had already unleashed all of his strength. He took a step forward, and his golden dragon spear stabbed straight towards the final kill word. Chapter 563. He thrust out his golden dragon spear, and the thousands of spear projections instantly combined to form the most powerful attack. They clashed directly with the Sword Douluo's 7th word. Boom! The golden dragon spear clashed violently with the last word. It was as if Mars had collided with Earth. At the point of impact, energy surged violently once again, and a huge explosion occurred. Lu Yuan quickly retreated. He only managed to stabilize himself after retreating more than 20 meters. A streak of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. On the other side, the Sword Do also retreated more than 20 meters. The explosive force of this energy was too strong. If he didn't avoid it, even he would have been injured. After all, he wasn't a soul master who specialized in physical strength. His forte was offense, but his physical body wasn't very strong. Even so, his body was still churning. In the clash, just now, neither he nor Lu Yuan had gained an advantage. This, Obuchi has actually withstood Uncle Jian's 7 killings swordplay. A look of disbelief flashed across Ning Fengji's eyes as he watched the battle. His face was full of astonishment. He didn't expect the two of them to be evenly matched in a pure clash of sword and spear techniques. Even without using soul skills, Uncle Jian's strength was comparable to a Soul Douluo who used soul skills. Lu Yuan was also able to reach such a level without using soul skills. Didn't this mean that his true strength was at least above that of a Soul Douluo? This conjecture caused a huge stir in Ning Fengji's heart. Could someone like him really be considered human? Could he be a monster? Otherwise, how could he reach such a level at 14 years old? Actually, Ning Fengji's conjecture was right. Lu Yuan was already at rank 58, and he could dominate Soul even without using his polychoria. Once he used his polychoria and see God's divine skills, he could definitely fight against ordinary titled soul masters. It could be said that without a transcendent Douluo, ordinary titled Douluo couldn't threaten Lu Yuan's life at all. Even if they couldn't defeat him, they could easily retreat. If he was forced into a corner and took out his Godslayer spear, the consequences would be even more wonderful. If he really used the Godslayer spear again, he wouldn't miss his thrust. After the Blood Emperor, who would be lucky enough to taste the love of the God-slaying spear? In fact, Lu Yuan had always been very curious. So amazing. When Ning Rongrong saw that Lu Yuan was actually tied with Grandpa Jian, whom she worshipped like a god, she could not help but gape slightly, a look of shock on her face. Impressive indeed. Zhu Zhuqin couldn't help but agree. Her eyes were shining, and her face was full of pride. This was her man. It seems like little brother won't need my protection in a few years, Ma Xiaodao said with a smile. Now that Lu Yuan's strength had reached such a level, she was afraid that he would catch up to her in a few years' time. At that time, he really wouldn't need her protection. Little brother's growth is really fast. Ma Xiaodao sighed softly. She was summoned a year ago. At that time, Lu Yuan had just accepted the Titan Giant Ape sacrifice and was only around rank 55. Because of the sacrifice, his soul power had increased by a lot, and he couldn't even control his own soul power completely. Although he was very strong, in Ma Xiaodao's eyes, he was still lacking. However, in just this year, Ma Xiaodao saw him create his two self-created soul skills, Dragon Swimming Great Void and Spear Technique, Vortex. Although his soul power had only increased by 3 ranks, his strength had increased by a lot. Right now, he was already very strong. Even if he relied on himself, he could already gain a foothold on the continent. His improvement wasn't small at all. She was already a rare genius, but compared to Lu Yuan, she paled in comparison. Her master was indeed the master. He was really powerful. Not only were the few of them shocked, but even the people of the Dragon King Hall who were watching were the same. While they were shocked, they couldn't help but admire Lu Yuan greatly. This was their Dragon King Hall master. Although he was young, his strength was very strong. He was already enough to catch up with the older generation of soul masters. They couldn't help but support Lu Yuan even more. Kid Yuan, it seems like I underestimated you. I didn't expect you to be able to withstand my 7 annihilation swordplay. The sword law stood with his sword in hand, and his indifferent voice sounded. I was just lucky. Seeing your sword's 7 annihilation swordplay is really powerful. I also used all my strength to barely break it. Lu Yuan stood up straight and smiled. How's your comprehension? Do you have any ideas? The sword Douluo asked. I have some ideas, but I'm still a little lacking, Lu Yuan said softly. He had indeed gained some enlightenment from the sword Doa's 7 annihilation swordplay, and the killing intent in his body had also fused into his spear. However, for some reason, he still felt that something was missing. All right, then let me help you again. I still have the 7 annihilation wall combination. It's the most powerful move in the 7 annihilation swordplay. If you can't withstand this move, you might die. Are you still willing to try? The sword Douluo's calm voice sounded. Of course. Please do your best, senior. Lu Yuan said gently. All right, then take it. The sword Douluo raised his long sword and pointed his 7 kills sword up into the air. He flicked his wrist slightly, and a burst of extremely sharp sword intent instantly permeated through the air. The sword dog gently swept his hand through the air, and on this occasion there was only one word, kill, as opposed to 7 characters. However, this annihilation was more than 10 times larger than the previous 7. The massive black annihilation word stood in midair before crashing down viciously toward Lu Yuan. As the black annihilation word came crashing down, an invisible but extremely sharp killing intent locked onto Lu Yuan. In the face of this killing intent, Lu Yuan's hair immediately stood on end, and cold sweat appeared on his back. A sense of immense peril welled up in his heart. The sword Douluo wasn't lying. If he couldn't withstand this attack, he really would die. I didn't think Uncle Jian would use this move. Ning Fengji murmured to himself. This was the sword Douluo's most powerful attack, and if he were to unleash this attack in his martial soul true body state, it would be enough to kill a titled Douluo. Even though he was only unleashing this sword technique in his normal state, it was still extremely powerful, and only a titled Douluo would be able to withstand this attack. However, Lu Yuan hadn't even released his martial soul or donned his golden dragon armor, so it would be extremely difficult for him to withstand this attack. Grandpa Jian, what is he doing? Is he trying to kill Lu Yuan? Ning Rongrong's face immediately paled at the sight of the sword Douluo unleashing such a powerful attack, and she couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. She immediately rushed toward the battlefield. On the other side, Zhu Zhuqing also abruptly clenched her fists and bit down on her lower lip. A hint of clear blue light appeared in her black eyes. Chapter 564. Rong, don't be rash. Your grandpa, Jin, knows what he's doing. Ning Fengji pulled Ning Rongrong back when he saw that she was about to charge towards the center of the battlefield. He wants Obuchi to feel the threat of death so that he can unleash his potential and achieve a breakthrough. Given Obuchi's talent, he might be able to gain some enlightenment under the threat of death. Rongrong, you have to believe in Obuchi and your grandpa Jian. Your grandpa Jian knows what he's doing, Ning Fengji said gently. Really, Daddy? Ning Rongrong bit her red lips and looked straight at Ning Fengji. Her eyes flickered with tears. Really? Ning Fengji rubbed his daughter's head and sighed softly. It seemed that this girl was really stuck in the mud and couldn't extricate herself. After receiving Ning Fengji's affirmation, Ning Rongrong's heart barely calmed down. She opened her eyes wide and watched the situation on the battlefield without blinking. Zhu Zhuqing was the same. She clenched her fists and looked at the battlefield not far away. Her eyes were filled with worry and concern. The members of the Dragon King Palace who were spectating the battle felt the same way. In the face of the sword Douluo's terrifying attack, they were all nervous for Lu Yuan. Would Lu Yuan be able to withstand this attack? The only person who wasn't worried was Ma Xiaodao. Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing were too concerned about Lu Yuan, so they lost their sense of propriety. However, Ma Xiaodao could see very clearly that no matter whether Lu Yuan could withstand this move or not, he would not be hurt at all. This was the Dragon King Palace, and if Lu Yuan were to suffer even the slightest injury, then neither the sword Luo nor Ning Fengji would be able to leave this place alive. Long Xiaoyao could beat the sword Douluo with one hand. Even she could defeat him easily. Although the sword Douluo was at rank 96 and had comprehended sword intent, she was only at rank 95. However, her martial soul was a fire phoenix that controlled ultimate fire, and she also had a 100,000-year soul ring. If she unleashed her full power, her fighting strength would be comparable to a transcendent Douluo at the peak of rank 97. Defeating the sword Douluo wouldn't be a problem for her. As such, she was very relaxed. With the sword Douluo's intelligence, he would definitely hold back and not really hurt Lu Yuan. The only thing Ma Xiaodao was looking forward to was whether her little brother could really take this move. If it was possible, then little brother master would really be amazing. Ma Xiaodao thought as she looked at the battlefield with her big pink eyes. On the battlefield, Lu Yuan looked at the Black Hill character that was getting closer and closer. Feeling the terrifying, murderous intent that was about to drown him, the sense of crisis in his heart grew stronger and stronger, and the aura of death grew thicker and thicker. Shrouded by this terrifying, murderous intent, Lu Yuan's heart trembled in fear. Suddenly, a thought flashed through his mind. He finally knew what he was missing. The reason why he couldn't fuse his murderous intent into a spear wasn't because he didn't have enough control over it, nor was it because his murderous intent wasn't thick enough. On the contrary, his murderous intent was very thick and pure. It even contained a ferocious aura that other types of murderous intent didn't have. This was the unique murderous intent of the god-slaying spear. There were two reasons why he couldn't fuse his murderous intent into a spear. First, he didn't have any murderous intent in his heart. When he attacked with his spear, he didn't have any murderous intent in his heart. Under such circumstances, how could he fuse his murderous intent into his spear? The second reason was Lu Yuan's rejection of the god-slaying, murderous aura from the bottom of his heart. Perhaps it was because the god-slaying spear had been influencing him from the very beginning, corroding him and subtly changing his personality. Therefore, he had always been repulsed by the god-slaying spear. He wanted to use it, but he was also repulsed by it in his heart. This was because Lu Yuan was afraid that he would be affected by the god-slaying spear again. Even though his spiritual power was no longer afraid of being corroded by the god-slaying spear, this didn't change. He still rarely used the god-slaying spear. Even a murderous intent that came from the god-slaying spear was forcefully controlled by his spiritual power. He didn't fuse his body with it. This was actually a disadvantage. Now Lu Yuan understood. Since the god-slaying spear was already his martial soul, the murderous aura of the god-slaying spear completely belonged to him. Furthermore, his spiritual power was strong enough to not be afraid of the god-slaying spear's corrosion. Why would he resist it? He might as well let go of all his resistance and repulsion. He might as well accept it completely and truly become one with it. With this thought, Lu Yuan immediately let go of the Clear Breath Sutra's soul power and Clear Breath divine power. The murderous intent that was filled with ferocious killing intent was instantly released from Lu Yuan's body. The golden dragon spear started to exude a strange blood gold color. Yes, it wasn't the original bright gold color. Instead, it was blood gold. This was a sign that the murderous intent had already fused with the golden dragon spear. After he let go of the restraints, Lu Yuan's aura suddenly soared. A murderous intent so dense that even the sword Douluo's heart trembled erupted from Lu Yuan's body. A blood-red light started to spread rapidly in all directions from Lu Yuan's feet. What a terrifying murderous intent! The blood-red light spread very quickly. It instantly enveloped the area where the sword Douluo was. The terrifying murderous intent caused the sword Douluo to tremble slightly. This murderous intent was so pure and ferocious that it was something that he had never seen before. It far surpassed the murderous intent of his 7-kill sword. Fuse! Lu Yuan roared. Blood-red light flashed in his dual pupils. The extremely dense, murderous intent in his body was injected into the golden dragon spear. The golden dragon spear was already blood gold in color. The blood-red light on the golden dragon spear became even more intense. The tip of the spear had become extremely red. Just as Lu Yuan was about to thrust his spear, the god-slaying spear that had been lying quietly in Lu Yuan's mind all this time suddenly flashed with blood-red light. A pitch-black god-slaying spear projection was attached to the golden dragon spear. What's this? Lu Yuan was bewildered. However, he didn't slow down at all. He thrust his spear straight toward the huge black kill character in the air. Spear technique, slaughter. Slaughtering life was the name of Lu Yuan's newly created spear technique. It was a move that Lu Yuan had naturally comprehended after fusing the murderous aura into the spear. Once this move was unleashed, it would definitely slaughter all living beings and annihilate all living beings. The golden dragon spear that was enshrouded within the black spear projection clashed directly with a massive black kill character, and it was as if it were slicing through tofu with a sharp knife. The massive black kill character was completely vanquished and dissipated into specks of light. Chapter 565. After completely vanquishing the black kill character, Lu Yuan thrust his spear straight toward the sword Douluo. Before the sword Douluo could even react, the golden spear was already pressed against his forehead. Terrifying killing intent engulfed his entire body, and beads of cold sweat appeared on the sword Douluo's forehead. An extremely strong sense of impending doom enveloped his heart. Uncle Jian, Grandpa Jian, Ning Fengji and Ning Rongrong both let out horrified cries upon seeing this. No one had expected that Lu Yuan, who had been in an absolutely disadvantageous position and had even been suppressed by the giant black kill character, would suddenly erupt with astonishing power. He easily nullified the sword Douluo's 7-kill combination, and even managed to instantly counterattack. The golden dragon spear that was shrouded in black spear projections emanated an aura that was difficult to look at directly. The tip of the spear was pressed against the sword Douluo's forehead, and they had no doubt that the sword Douluo would definitely die if the tip of the spear were pressed forward a little more. Is this spear technique called life slaughtering? Even though the sword Douluo's mind was momentarily overwhelmed by the terrifying killing intent, he was still the sword Douluo after all. He was extremely calm and composed, and he quickly recovered. Since Lu Yuan's spear didn't press down on him, he naturally wouldn't be in any danger. Even though Lu Yuan's eyes were filled with intense killing intent right now, the sword Douluo's eyes were still filled with killing intent. You have a good temperament, Senior Jian. Lu Yuan smiled, and the killing intent in his eyes quickly dissipated. He slowly withdrew his golden dragon spear, and the blood-red light on the spear quickly receded. The originally dazzling golden body of the spear was revealed once again, and the black spear projections that enveloped the golden dragon spear also gradually dissipated. As he watched the gradually dissipating black spear projections, Lu Yuan's eyes narrowed slightly, and a bright light flashed through them. The murderous aura on his body was completely withdrawn, and the blood-red light that permeated the air also shrank back into Lu Yuan's body. Immediately, the murderous Lu Yuan, who was originally full of murderous aura, regained his confident and gentle appearance. There was no longer any murderous intent. Senior Jian, what do you think of my life-slaughtering move? Lu Yuan asked with a chuckle. It's very impressive. The sharpness of the spear technique, the purity of the killing intent, and the ferocity of the killing intent are all things that I've never seen before. Compared to it, my 7-kill sword technique is inferior. The sword Douluo sighed softly, and there was a hint of melancholy in his voice. Senior, you are too modest. Junior's life slaughtering is not as powerful as you think. The situation just now was just an example. In reality, the power will be much weaker. Lu Yuan smiled faintly. What do you mean? The sword Douluo was a little confused after hearing Lu Yuan's words, and he turned to look at Lu Yuan in confusion. However, Lu Yuan did not answer. He only smiled and remained silent. Spear technique. Life slaughter was naturally very powerful. This was a move created by the combination of God-slaying murderous chi and Lu Yuan's Deshang spear intent. Its lethality was huge, even stronger than the 1,000-year break of a Neptune's 13 halberds. It could be compared to the strongest single-target attack of the Neptune's 13 halberds, the third move, gone without return. After all, this move was fused with God-slaying murderous chi. God-slaying murderous chi was extremely terrifying, and its purity was definitely the best in the Douluo continent. Even the Azura god's murderous chi had to stand aside before it, because it came from the heavenly law's #1 weapon, the God-slaying spear. Although this God-slaying spear was only a martial soul, it was still an indescribably huge killing weapon. Even the clear air divine seed, which nurtured the power of laws, stood aside in fear when it saw it. It had to be known that the clear air divine seed nurtured the strongest deity position in the entire Douluo universe. It was a deity position that could control the laws of all the planes in the Douluo universe. It was definitely unimaginably powerful. However, it was still a little brother in front of the God-slaying spear martial soul. However, although spear technique, life slaughtering was powerful and God-slaying murderous chi was terrifying, Lu Yuan's cultivation was still limited. It was impossible for him to break through the sword Douluo's 7 kills combination so easily. The reason for this was because of the god-slaying spear's projection that enveloped the golden dragon spear. That's right, it was only a projection. It wasn't the complete god-slaying spear martial soul. This projection even appeared on its own accord without Lu Yuan summoning it. What did this mean? This meant that the god-slaying spear spirit had completely accepted Lu Yuan. It had completely acknowledged Lu Yuan as its master. In the past, Lu Yuan was repulsed and fearful of the god-slaying spear. Naturally, he wouldn't be acknowledged by the god-slaying spear. However, now that Lu Yuan had opened his arms and completely accepted the existence of the god-slaying spear, the god-slaying spear spirit had finally acknowledged Lu Yuan as its master. It even took the initiative to envelop the golden dragon spear with the god-slaying spear's projection and break the sword Douluo's ultimate technique with a single strike. At this moment, Lu Yuan could be considered to have truly gained control of the god-slaying spear. From now on, the god-slaying spear wouldn't have any negative influence on him. Instead, he could control the god-slaying murderous chi as he wished. This was the benefit of having the god-slaying spear recognize a true master. After gaining the recognition of the god-slaying spear's spirit, Lu Yuan was very happy. In addition, he had created the powerful spear technique, Life Massacre. His gains today were extraordinarily huge. The only flaw was that his legs felt a little weak when he stood. As for why, it was because the projection of the god-slaying spear had drained a lot of his soul power. In addition to the fact that he had been fighting for so long, his soul power was a little weak right now. Sigh. Although the god-slaying spear's soul power consumption has decreased after recognizing a master, it's still a bottomless pit. It seems like I can't use it so easily in the future. Lu Yuan sighed softly in his heart. Grandpa Jian, are you all right? Seeing that the two of them had stopped fighting, it was obvious that the battle had ended. Ning Rongrong immediately rushed over. Earlier, Lu Yuan's spear strike was simply earth-shattering. When he pressed the tip of the spear against the sword Douluo's forehead, her heart really jumped to her throat. She was really afraid that Lu Yuan would stab the sword Douluo with the spear. In the end, fortunately, Lu Yuan stopped in time. The sword Douluo sighed softly and said, "Don't worry, Grandpa Jian is fine. However, I've lost this battle. It's true that the new generation excels the old. Senior Jian, you're too kind. I was just lucky. Furthermore, it was all thanks to you for helping me break through just now." Lu Yuan smiled and said, "Senior Jian, there's a longevity pill in the jade bottle. Take it as a token of my gratitude to you. Rongrong, come over for a moment." Lu Yuan called out softly. After hearing Lu Yuan's voice, Ning Rongrong hurriedly walked over to Lu Yuan's side. She looked at Lu Yuan with her big eyes and blinked gently. Her eyes were shining brightly. "Get to your Grandpa Jian," Lu Yuan said gently as he rubbed Ning Rongrong's head. "Okay." Ning Rongrong took the jade bottle and walked over to the sword Douluo's side. She handed the jade bottle to him. "Obuchi, are you all right?" Zhu Zhuqing stepped forward and supported Lu Yuan. She looked at Lu Yuan's pale face and couldn't help but ask softly, "I'm fine. I've just used a little too much soul power." Lu Yuan gently patted Zhu Zhuqing's jade-like hand and replied gently, Chapter 566. Are you really all right? Zhu Zhuqing was still a little worried as she asked again. "I'm really all right. My legs are just a little wobbly. You'll have to help me back later." Lu Yuan smiled as he looked at Zhu Zhuqing's pretty face. "You're being naughty again." Zhu Zhuqing couldn't help but chide Lu Yuan when she saw the strange look in his eyes. She rolled her eyes at Lu Yuan. Hee hee. Lu Yuan chuckled when he saw this. He grabbed Zhu Zhuqing's hand tightly and acted as if he didn't care at all. "You're pretty impressive. You actually defeated the sword Douluo," Zhu Zhuqing whispered into Lu Yuan's ear. "I was just lucky. I wouldn't have been able to win if we had fought again. Furthermore, this was just a battle of spear and sword techniques. If both of us had used our martial souls, I would have definitely lost. The gap between me and a transcendent Douluo like the sword Douluo is still too wide. If I really want to win, I'm afraid I'll have to be close to rank 70 to have a chance. I might even have to be over rank 70, Lu Yuan said softly. This was his estimation of his own strength. After all, he could already fight an ordinary title Douluo at rank 58. When he reached rank 70, he should have 2 more 100,000-year soul rings. In addition to some other tricks, such as his martial soul true body, his golden dragon martial soul true body would definitely be very strong once he became a soul sage. After all, the higher the quality of his martial soul, the greater the strength of his martial soul true body. It was still possible for him to defeat the sword Douluo. You're still not satisfied? Zhu Zhuqing glared at Lu Yuan after hearing his words. You're still not satisfied with being able to defeat a powerful individual like the sword Douluo at rank 70? What else do you want? I can't be satisfied. After all, I'm someone who pursues very high goals. It's good that I can defeat a transcendent Douluo at rank 70, but I want to work harder and bring this moment forward. Lu Yuan chuckled. Pervert. Zhu Zhuqing gave Lu Yuan an exasperated look and muttered softly. You're not satisfied even if I can defeat you at rank 70? Do you want me to defeat a transcendent Douluo at rank 60? This guy really dared to think. As expected, his thoughts were different from that of a freak like him. Zhu Zhuqing thought to herself. What are you talking about, kitty? Is that how you talk about your man? Lu Yuan glared at her. Zhu Zhuqing snorted and tilted her head, looking proud. Seeing Zhu Zhuqing's appearance, Lu Yuan couldn't help but chuckle. Since Cher became obedient, her tsundered temper had also changed a lot. She indeed had the bearing of a legal wife. However, this kitten was still the same. Her temperament hadn't changed at all. However, this Zhu Zhuqing was still very cute and likable. Is this the longevity pill? While Lu Yuan was flirting with her, the sword Douluo and the others had already taken out the longevity pills that Lu Yuan had given them. After all, even the sword Douluo and the others were very curious about the longevity pills that could increase one's lifespan. Even the sword Douluo, Ning Fengji, and the others were watching. In Ning Fengji's hand was a green and glossy pill. This pill emitted a light fragrance. Just smelling this fragrance was enough to make one feel relaxed and refreshed. This was because this fragrance contained the purest life energy. The essence of the longevity pill was actually the life energy. After consuming the longevity pill, this life energy would be absorbed by the person who consumed the pill due to the special effects of the pill, increasing their own life energy. When one's life energy increased, their lifespan would naturally increase. However, the longevity pill also had its limits. It could only replenish life energy. It had a miraculous effect on those who didn't have much lifespan left. However, the effect was limited for those who were weak to begin with. Even if they were terminally ill or poisoned, the longevity pill wouldn't have much of an effect. After all, the longevity pill wasn't omnipotent. At most, it would make them feel better. The Snowy Night Emperor thought that the longevity pill could help him extend his lifespan, but that was wishful thinking. This was because he was poisoned by an extremely difficult poison. It wasn't something that could be cured by the longevity pill. In the entire world, other than the Paklan, only Lu Yuan, who had grasped the pill comprehension technique, could cure the poison. However, Lu Yuan was not going to help him detoxify the poison. It was his dear Shuer who had personally poisoned him, and he was not going to ruin it. As for the Snowy Night Emperor, he was going to let him die when it was time. He was already so old. He should have had enough of being an emperor. It was time for him to die. This was Lu Yuan's truest thought. Of course, the Snowy Night Emperor didn't know about this. He was still hoping that he could live a few more years after taking the longevity pill. Ning Fengji and the rest sized up the longevity pill. Their eyes were filled with splendor. This pill was indeed extraordinary. Just by smelling it, they felt comfortable. It seemed like it was true that it could extend one's lifespan. However, just 2 wasn't enough. There was still Uncle Gu in the sect. He also needed this kind of pill. Ning Fengji thought to himself, Obuchi, Do you have any more longevity pills? If you do, can you give me a few? Uncle will give you a satisfactory price. Ning Fengji looked at Lu Yuan and asked softly. About this, Lu Yuan's right hand gently stroked his chin. Of course, he had a lot of longevity pills in his hands, dozens of them. However, should he give them to Ning Fengji so easily? At the very least, he should get some benefits. Speaking of which, what did the Dragon King Palace lack? They didn't lack money. Now that the business of the Dragon King Palace had expanded to the Xianra Empire, the annual income was not small. Although it couldn't be compared to the Seven Treasures Glazed sect, it was still very rich. Didn't you see how extravagant Lu Yuan was with his money now? Wasn't it because he didn't lack money that he could go to a high-class place like the Star Blue Hotel? However, if he didn't want money, what could he get in return? Lu Yuan was still thinking about it when he suddenly felt a weight on his right arm. He looked over and saw that it was Ning Rongrong who had pulled his arm into her embrace. Obuchi, promise my father, okay? Ning Rongrong blinked her big eyes. As she spoke, she kept rubbing Lu Yuan's arm in her embrace. Although Ning Rongrong wasn't as big as Zhu Zhuqing, such intimate contact still made Lu Yuan feel strange. Okay, don't move. I promise you. Looking at Ning Rongrong, Lu Yuan shook his head helplessly. Forget it. For Ning Rongrong's sake, he would sell it to them. Anyway, he still had a lot of stock in his hands. Lu Yuan opened his mouth and was about to speak. Suddenly, an idea flashed in his mind. He remembered a special product of the Seven Treasures Glazed sect. That thing was a bit interesting. It seemed that he could play with it. Uncle Ning, I can give you a few more, but I'm also interested in something from your Seven Treasures Glazed sect. How about Uncle Ning, give me some? Lu Yuan said with a chuckle. Chapter 567. Obuchi, what are you interested in? As long as Uncle Ning can take it out, I can give it to you. Ning Fengji smiled after hearing Lu Yuan's words. Yes, Obuchi. What are you interested in from the Seven Treasures Glazed sect? Tell me, and even if my father doesn't give it to you, I'll give it to you. Ning Rongrong hugged Lu Yuan's arm with a sweet smile. F***CK. Ning Fengji's face darkened when he heard this. Is this still my daughter? Her ability to side with an outsider was not ordinary. How did I give birth to such a daughter? She's really trying to please her lover. She's even tricking her own father. Furthermore, he's not even your lover yet. Ning Fengji thought to himself indignantly. It wasn't just Ning Fengji. Even the sword Douluo's face twitched slightly. He didn't even have the strength to ridicule Ning Rongrong. Lu Yuan couldn't help but smile when he heard Ning Rongrong's words. He turned his head slightly and looked at Ning Fengji. Uncle Ning, I heard that your Seven Treasures Glazed sect has something called the Rainbow Glazed Tea. I heard that it can increase soul power. You know about this too? Ning Fengji was slightly stunned when he heard this. He said, there is indeed such a thing, but it's only effective for soul elders and soul ancestors. It won't have any effect at higher ranks. Furthermore, it can only increase one's soul power by 1 rank. It won't have any effect even if one takes more. Why are you interested in this? Ning Fengji asked. Yes, I'm quite interested in this tea that can increase one's soul power. Lu Yuan smiled. All right, since you're interested, Obuchi, I'll give you some. But what about the longevity pills? Ning Fengji looked at Lu Yuan as he spoke. The longevity pills will naturally be given to you. However, there's a limit to how many longevity pills can be taken. Each person can take a maximum of 5 pills. After 5 pills, the effects will lose. Furthermore, the effects will weaken with each pill taken. Roughly speaking, taking 5 pills will only increase one's lifespan by 20 years. I have to remind you about this, Uncle Ning. Lu Yuan said softly. I understand. If you take too much, it's normal for the effect of the pill to weaken. Uncle Ning understands this. Ning Fengji said, how many longevity pills does Uncle Ning want? Lu Yuan asked. Obuchi, how many can you sell now? Ning Fengji asked. 10 at most. I have to keep some for backup, Lu Yuan said. All right, I'll take 10 then. 1,000,000 gold soul coins each. I'll also add half a caddy of the rainbow glazed tea. You only need to add a little bit of the rainbow glazed tea every time you brew a cup. You don't need to add too much. Half a caddy should be enough to last you a long time. What do you think, Obuchi? Ning Fengji asked. All right, deal. Lu Yuan smiled faintly. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Ning Fengji couldn't help but smile. Although he had paid a lot, he had obtained 10 longevity pills. It was worth it. In addition to the 2 pills that Lu Yuan had given him, Uncle Jian and Uncle Gu each had 5 pills. There were still 2 pills left. These 2 pills were enough for him to keep. Although he looked middle-aged, he wasn't young anymore. He was almost 60 years old. Furthermore, he wasn't a titled Douluo. His lifespan wasn't long either. He wanted to live a few more years. Even if he didn't need them now, he would need them in the future. Ning Fengji was very happy. Lu Yuan was also in a good mood. He wasn't doing this for the measly half a caddy of rainbow glazed tea. He was doing this for the recipe. After taking a look at the tea leaves and drinking 2 mouthfuls, he could basically guess the recipe with his current knowledge. At that time, the Dragon King Palace would have another profitable business. That would be a great deal of profit. You might think that you've taken advantage of me, but in fact, I've never lost out. I, Mr. Lu, have never done business that is at a loss. Lu Yuan chuckled to himself. Seeing the hidden smile in Lu Yuan's eyes and the slightly hooked-up corners of his mouth, Zhu Zhuqing could not help but shake her head. She knew that this man of her family must have cheated sect Master Ning again. She knew Lu Yuan too well. He would never let himself be taken advantage of. Thinking about it, Lu Yuan must be planning something with the rainbow glazed tea. Otherwise, he wouldn't have asked for it. He was a guy who wouldn't wake up early if there were no benefits. Other than being nice to his own people, he wouldn't be polite to others. Obviously, Ning Fengji was the one who had been cheated this time. However, he didn't seem to know it. However, Zhu Zhuqing didn't have any other thoughts. To be honest, Lu Yuan was her man. She would only be happier if Lu Yuan took advantage of her. With a smile at the corner of his mouth, Lu Yuan said softly, Uncle Ning, I think it's getting late. It's almost noon. Why don't we go have lunch together? Okay, I'm really a little hungry. Ning Fengji smiled slightly. Okay, let's go. Lu Yuan said softly. He led Ning Fengji and the others to the dining hall of the Dragon King Hall. The banquet should have been prepared there. After lunch, Ning Fengji and the others left. Ning Rongrong stayed. Ning Fengji didn't object. Anyone with a discerning eye could see what they were thinking. However, Lu Yuan didn't object. He called Wang Qiu'er over. Ning Rongrong was now playing with Wang Qiu'er. Anyway, this sister liked to stay with Ning Rongrong. She could share her brother's worries. Lu Yuan, on the other hand, was thinking about other things. Since the Snowy Night Emperor wanted to cooperate with him and rope him in, this was a good opportunity. He could plan appropriately. However, he still had to discuss with Chihiro Snow. Furthermore, he hadn't seen Chihiro Snow for a long time. What are you thinking about? Zhu Zhuqing asked softly. Seeing Lu Yuan sipping his tea and tapping his fingers on the table, deep in thought, Zhu Zhuqing sat down beside Lu Yuan and asked softly, Thinking about the Snowy Night Emperor's attempt to rope me in, there are many things that can be planned. Also, we have to make some appropriate moves. For example, we don't get along well with the Martial Soul Palace. Let him think that his approach is right. It's very feasible to rope in the Dragon King Hall. Furthermore, this cooperation will be more natural. It won't arouse any suspicion. Therefore, we can put on a show appropriately. Lu Yuan said softly. Put on a show, what do you mean? Zhu Zhuqing couldn't help but ask. I haven't thought about the specifics yet. I have to discuss these things with Cher. Later, I'll look for Cher. Zhuqing, I won't be coming back tonight. Lu Yuan said softly. Okay, I know. Zhu Zhuqing couldn't help but nod her head gently. Chapter 568. Heavendo Imperial City, Crown Prince's Residence. Chihiro Snow and the Snakespear Thorny Pufferfish were walking in the courtyard of the Crown Prince's residence. Over the past few days, Empress Shuya had been in poor health, and she had been managing the empire's affairs. As a result, she had been going to the palace more often. The sun was about to set, and she finally had time to return to her residence. Chihiro Snow gently rubbed her head and sighed. There were too many things to do in the Heavendo Empire. After a day of dealing with them, even she felt a little dizzy. It took a lot of effort to deal with these things. "Young mistress, are you all right? Do you need me to call for the imperial physician?" The snake-spear Douluo hurriedly asked when he saw that Chihiro Snow seemed a little uncomfortable. "I'm fine. There's no need to trouble yourself. I'm just a little dizzy from dealing with too many documents. I'll be fine after some rest." Chihiro Snow said softly. "Young mistress, shall we send you back to your room now?" The snake-spear Douluo asked. "No, let's go to the study first. I remember that there are still some documents in the study that I haven't finished dealing with. They're related to Obuchi. I have to take a look." Chihiro Snow said. "Yes, young mistress," the snake-spear Douluo said. Qian Rinshue and the others walked in the direction of the study. Their footsteps were fast, so it didn't take long for them to arrive outside the study. Chihiro Snow placed her hands on the door and pushed it gently. Immediately, the door opened. Chihiro Snow stepped into the study and casually scanned the room. Suddenly, her gaze froze, and a look of astonishment appeared on her face. In her eyes, a handsome young man dressed in white was sitting in the seat that originally belonged to her, casually fiddling with a book in his hand. Hearing the sound of the door opening, he slightly tilted his head and looked at her walking into the study with a gentle smile on his face. "You're back," he asked. "Why are you here? Are you done with the Dragon King Hall?" Chihiro Snow asked softly. This young man was none other than Lu Yuan. Other than Lu Yuan, no one else had the guts to swagger into the Crown Prince's study room alone. "Things can never be settled. I just miss you." Lu Yuan smiled. "Like hell I'd believe you. If you really missed me, you wouldn't have waited more than 3 months to visit me." Chihiro Snow glared at Lu Yuan with a hint of bitterness in his eyes. Lu Yuan stood up, walked to Chihiro Snow's side, and said with a chuckle, "I have something to do and can't leave. You see, I've come to see you whenever I'm free. Who knows if what you said is true or not?" Chihiro Snow curled his lips and said, "You really don't know? Then isn't the information written on that document about me?" Lu Yuan said, looking at Chihiro Snow with a faint smile. Hearing this, Chihiro Snow's face changed, and he hurriedly said, "Obuchi, I only sent people to collect information about you because I care about you. I didn't spy on you, nor did I want to pry into your privacy. Don't think too much. In fact, I only know that you have been busy with something in the Dragon King Hall, but I don't know what it is." She was afraid that Lu Yuan would think that she was spying on him, so she hurriedly explained. "Don't worry, I didn't think too much. Why are you in such a hurry?" Lu Yuan smiled. "I was afraid that you would misunderstand." Chihiro Snow pouted and said, "Oh, am I such a person who can't see the situation clearly? You underestimate me too much. It doesn't matter if you send people to spy on my whereabouts, as long as you don't keep an eye on me at all times and places. As for collecting information about me, many organizations are doing this. It's just that how many of them know what I do every day? That's why I'm not angry at all. You did this because you care about me, right? I understand what you're thinking." Lu Yuan smiled and stretched out his hands to gently pull Chihiro Snow into his embrace. At the same time, he removed the disguise on her face. Suddenly, the beautiful Chihiro Snow was back. "Don't, there's still people watching outside." Chihiro Snow's body trembled slightly as Lu Yuan hugged her gently. Her face flushed red as she spoke softly. "Is that so?" Lu Yuan glanced around, and the snake spear Douluo and the thorny pufferfish Douluo entered his vision. It was indeed the 2 old men. "Seniors, long time no see." Lu Yuan spoke softly. "Greetings, your highness." The snake spear Douluo and the thorny pufferfish Douluo bowed to Lu Yuan at the same time. Now, that Lu Yuan was the Holy Sun, it was different from before. In the past, they could greet Lu Yuan whenever they saw him, and they didn't have to bow to him. But now they had to bow to Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan's status was the highest after the Pope, and he was above the elders. Even the chrysanthemum Douluo and the ghost Douluo had to bow to Lu Yuan. This was the status of the Holy Sun in the martial Soul Palace. Yes. Seeing the two of them bow to him, Lu Yuan nodded gently. He said plainly, "Seniors, you can leave first. I have something to say to share." "Yes, Holy Sun." After hearing Lu Yuan's words, the two of them walked away. He waved his sleeves gently, and the door of the study closed. Only Chihiro Snow and Lu Yuan were left in the study. Looking at Chihiro Snow's beautiful face, Lu Yuan couldn't help but call out, "Share." He lowered his head gently. Seeing this, Chihiro Snow blushed, but she still graciously moved her lips forward. 15 minutes later, Lu Yuan sat on a chair in the study and placed Chihiro Snow's body on his lap. His left hand gently wrapped around Chihiro Snow's waist. Chihiro Snow lay quietly in Lu Yuan's arms. Her beautiful face was calm, and her expression was peaceful. Lu Yuan gently caressed Chihiro Snow's face, and there was a tinge of pity in his eyes. "Share, I haven't seen you for 3 months, and you've lost a lot of weight. Your complexion doesn't look good. Are you overworked again? You have to pay attention to your body. Although national affairs are important, your body is even more important. It's not worth it to exhaust your body for these things," Lu Yuan said softly. Hearing Lu Yuan's slightly reproachful words, Chihiro Snow smiled sweetly. Her eyes were filled with happiness. The deep concern in his words made her feel very comfortable. "It's okay, Obuchi. I'm a Soul Emperor. My body is fine. It's just that I've been dealing with a lot of documents today, so I'm a little dizzy," Chihiro Snow said softly. "You still have a nerve to say that? A dignified Soul Emperor dealing with national affairs until you're dizzy. Aren't you working too hard? Even if you don't feel sorry for yourself, I do." Lu Yuan rolled his eyes at Chihiro Snow. His right hand gently pressed Chihiro Snow's head, and white, clear divine power slowly poured into Chihiro Snow's body, relieving her fatigue. It had to be said that the clear divine power was indeed useful. After a while, Chihiro Snow's beautiful face was rosy again, and she was in high spirits. Chapter 569. How do you feel? Lu Yuan asked softly as he retracted his finger. "I feel pretty good. It's as if all my fatigue has completely dissipated. I'm not dizzy at all. I feel refreshed and energized. Little Yuan, your clear chi divine power is really useful," Qianrenshue said with a face full of praise. "It's useful, but I can't always stay by your side. I can't help you recover anytime. You have to know how to take care of yourself. Don't push yourself too hard." Lu Yuan pinched Chihiro Snow's cheeks and said softly, "Okay, I know." Chihiro Snow nodded and grabbed Lu Yuan's hand. She placed it on her face. Her golden eyes were like water as she quietly sized up Lu Yuan. Her eyes were filled with deep affection. "I haven't come to find you for 3 months. Did you miss me?" Lu Yuan stared into Chihiro Snow's eyes and asked softly, "Yes, I missed you every day. It's just that I couldn't leave. Otherwise, I would have gone to find you." Chihiro Snow's pleasant voice rang out. Her voice was filled with longing. "Oh, me too. I've been busy refining soul tools and pills for the past 3 months. I also had to train my team and prepare for the tournament. There were a lot of things to do. I only found some time to visit you today," Lu Yuan said. "Refining soul tools and pills?" Chihiro Snow asked softly. "Are you refining soul tools for the 7 Treasures glazed sect? And the pills, are they the longevity pills and ageless pills that have been hyped up?" "Yes." Lu Yuan nodded and smiled. He withdrew his hand from Chihiro Snow's face as she looked at him doubtfully. He waved his hand gently, and a bright blue pill with beautiful cloud patterns appeared in Lu Yuan's hand. "Share, open your mouth." Lu Yuan's voice rang out. Chihiro Snow couldn't help but open her bright red lips when she heard this. Lu Yuan gently pushed the bright blue pill into Chihiro Snow's mouth. The pill melted in her mouth and directly entered Chihiro Snow's stomach. "Obuchi, what was that pill?" Chihiro Snow couldn't help but ask curiously. She knew Lu Yuan's love for her, and she also knew that Lu Yuan wouldn't harm her. That was why she ate the pill without any hesitation. But she was still a little curious. She wanted to know what the pill was. The pill just now was a face-retaining pill, and it's a top-grade one. Ordinary face-retaining pills can only preserve one's youth, but they can't make one's old face look younger. However, a top-grade face-retaining pill can. It can restore the user's appearance to the best age and then maintain it. Of course, it's useless to my precious Shui, because you're in your most beautiful years right now, so you basically can't see anything. However, from now on, your appearance will forever remain the appearance of a 20-year-old. Lu Yuan said with a smile. So this is the face-retaining pill. Chihiro Snow nodded lightly, then asked, did Zhu Zhuqing and the others eat it too? No. Lu Yuan shook his head and said, Zhu Qing is still young. She's still growing. Taking the face-retaining pill now will harm her. As for senior sister, I haven't had the time to give it to her yet. I'll give it to her after the finals and when we arrive at Martial Spirit City. Oh, Chihiro Snow said softly, then asked, what about Gu Yuna? Narushi. Lu Yuan hesitated for a moment, but when he met Chihiro Snow's gaze, he still said it. You'll find out about this sooner or later, so I'll tell you a bit first. The face-retaining pill is useless to because she's already young. Her appearance won't change even after thousands of years. Lu Yuan said. It seems like my guess was right. She's not human at all. She's a god, right? Chihiro Snow looked at Lu Yuan with a burning gaze, then said, when I saw her, I already had a guess. Her aura is much stronger than my grandfather and the Dragon Emperor Douluo. It can even be said that the difference between heaven and earth. At that time, I already had a guess, but I didn't expect it to be so. You're very charming. Even a god fell in love with you. Chihiro Snow looked at Lu Yuan and laughed softly. Isn't it necessary for me to be charming? Otherwise, how could I capture your heart? Lu Yuan chuckled. Hearing this, Chihiro Snow couldn't help but roll her eyes at him, but she didn't refute. After all, she fell in love with Lu Yuan, and Lu Yuan's extraordinary appearance had something to do with Lu Yuan. All right, Obuchi, why are you looking for me today? Chihiro Snow changed the topic and asked Lu Yuan why he was here today. It's nothing. I already said that I'm only here to see you. Lu Yuan said with a smile. Forget it. You might be able to fool others, but you can't fool me. Your eyes clearly tell me that you have something important to discuss with me. Otherwise, with your personality, you wouldn't have just kissed me. At the very least, you would have... At least what? Lu Yuan asked with a smile. You know what I know. Chihiro Snow glared at Lu Yuan and blushed. Huh. Seeing Chihiro Snow's blushing face, Lu Yuan chuckled and stopped teasing her. He'll tease her at night. Let's talk about business first. I really can't hide anything from you. Lu Yuan sighed. He looked into Chihiro Snow's golden eyes and asked, Cher, Emperor Shui Yi wants a rope in the Dragon King Hall. You should know about this, right? Yes, I know. After all, the Dragon King Hall is very strong now. It's normal for him to rope in you. He's always wanted a rope in some powerful Soul Master sects, but it's a pity that the Seven Treasures Glaze sect is the only one that supports the Heaven Do Imperial family. The Clear Sky sect has always been in seclusion, and the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect has always been neutral. He doesn't have any goals. Now that the Dragon King Hall has appeared, it's normal for him to choose to rope you in. With the Dragon King Hall support, the Heaven Do Imperial family's reputation will rise, and the Heaven Do Empire will become more secure. At the same time, he can borrow your strength to fight against the Martial Soul Palace. This is what Emperor Shui Yi is thinking. Chihiro Snow explained. Yes. Lu Yuan nodded. Chihiro Snow was right. This was what Emperor Shui Yi was thinking. However, Obuchi, if you enter the center of power of the Heaven Do Empire as the Dragon King Hall Lord, you'll be able to help me. If we work together, it'll be easier for us to get rid of those who oppose us. It'll be easier for us to take control of the Heaven Do Empire. Therefore, Obuchi, You must agree to cooperate with the Heaven Do Imperial family. Chihiro Snow looked straight at Lu Yuan. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.